guys, welcome to Up Past Midnight podcast. I'm Ali. She is.
Del Marie.
Yay! It's our very first one, guys. So if it sounds fucking wild and weird, we're just getting the hang of it. You might know me from The Mind Unleashed, and yeah, I do these a lot. Del has been on episode 42. If you guys want to go check that out, head up iTunes. Link will be down below in the description. Again, we're getting everything hooked up and learning how to use Zoom and shit like that because she's all the way in Puerto Rico and I'm here in Orlando, not Orlando. I'm in Mount Dora, Florida, but still in Florida. Yeah, man, we're just gonna jam, kind of get you guys down to speed what the hell's going on, what the podcast is gonna be about, so you guys can sit down and jam. Yeah, man, we're hoping you guys tune back into all this cool stuff. We hope you love it. Send us emails, stuff like that. We have everything set up. Del's got access to pretty much everything, so she's gonna be doing a lot of uploads of her own. We'll be kind of tagging along. Just welcome, man. We know it's
Hopefully
not midnight.
we'll expand this into like a sort of podcast slash streaming slash other series.
So we've got a lot of things in the works. It's going to take us time. So be patient, because it took me about a year to like, hey, let's try something. Let's try something. And she's like, no. And friends kept pushing my shoulder, going, help her, push her. And I'm like, I can't push anybody. I got to kind of, and
you gotta nudge me though. Me. I gotta get nudged.
So she's got a Twitch channel, guys. She's 300 followers. I got like she's amazing. Like I said, episode 42 of The Mind Unleashed. Check her out on that. We're gonna dig into why the hell we started this, what the hell is going on with it, what the game plan is, and stuff like that. And if you guys would like it, man, click down below, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we've got email, we've got Twitch, we've got YouTube, so we got Facebook. So no Twitter. We're not going to fuck with that because I ain't about that either. And she isn't
either. We'll find someone. If we get big enough, we'll find somebody to manage that.
Yeah, I'm not a Twitter person. Let's go set up the Open Mind one, and I barely touch it. The only person who ever contacted me personally was Hugh Jackman, and my little girl voice screamed out loud. So yeah, like you never.
I've only had the comedian Greg Proops actually reach out to me. It was a good time. Oh, yeah, wow. I love him.
I have no idea. I have no idea who he is, though. So I'm like, I don't know.
Have you seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, Whose Line Is It? This is the new one?
No, well, I guess he's shown up on some of the new ones, but Greg Proops he's got like curly hair, like big chunky, like crazy glasses, kind of gay.
That dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize, but I know Colin, dude.
Yeah,
I met him once because he was at a thing called Orlando Fringe here. And then I bumped into somebody else who was on the show also. So.
Okay.
And they're like, "Hey, you know who I am?" I'm like, "You're that Colin guy." He's like, "Yes, idiot."
Yeah, I've only ever talked to him, and then the only other thing I've done is reach out to, Prima Games, who used to do the game guides, like way back in PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era. Like they have this kind of like group thing for Twitch where you can be part of it. It's free, and they'll just kind of have you on their Twitch channel. And if you're online, sometimes you'll show up on their page.
They'll send you it, and then because I got one from one streamer, yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know if it does anything. I don't know if it's beneficial for me, but sometimes,
I think after we get this all rolling, you guys will know who the hell we both are, and I'll be plugging the shit out of this through the OMI channel because this is the sister channel to OMI. I did a gaming thing, and then it was like, Ollie, bring that over to another side because a podcast and a half ago I did a questionnaire and I said, hey guys, like, what do you recommend? And I threw it out there. I said, hey, do you want me to pod with her or not? Everybody's like, do it. So I got about like 660 like things like saying, dude, start a new channel. So I did. So everybody was like, hey, no, start a new one. I'm like, okay, you guys win. So this is where this is becoming from because everybody's like, dude, start a new channel. But yeah, man, like we're gonna talk about how the hell we got into gaming. My shit started when I was I'm not as awesome as Del Marie, but we were broke as shit as kids. So I didn't start gaming until the Atari 2600. My mom got I think in the garage sale or something like that. Then we got the first Nintendo when I was like 8 or 9, something like that. And I don't know how the hell my dad got it. It was Christmas and my dad brought it in. So, and then from there, we didn't even have an N64 yet. We didn't get our PlayStation until I believe 2000. No, it was 98 or 99 when we got the first PlayStation. That was it.
I played my dad's Atari a little bit um, when I was very young. And then I didn't get a gaming console until I think a year or so after, maybe a year or two after PlayStation came out. And that's not technically the console I wanted. Funny
You told,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing on my cousin's N64 and I was really addicted to Diddy Kong Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I used to also
Mine
back
was Wave
back
Racers was my favorite. Everybody's like, oh, like you like it? I hated the controller on the N64. I fucking hated the three, and I'm like, how do I?
I don't even remember what the controller was like, honestly. I just
You
remember
don't?
playing that.
Okay, so
No,
like it had guys. If you ever, I'm pretty sure everybody's like, geez, you never held a controller. What the? So it had these two little things, like a freaking boomerang,
it's
and then
just
a little
I
joystick.
don't remember what it felt like because I was so young and I was just like, game.
But then again, if you didn't have a rumble pack, because like
Yeah.
I didn't know people were you were like the loser at school. Like
Hmm.
everybody was like, "What do you have?" And I'm like, "I have a PlayStation One." And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, all I have is like the demo disc because my parents are fucking broke and they just went through a divorce." And my dad went out
Oh
and
my
like put
God.
it on his credit card. And I remember when we first got that damn PlayStation. We went to a Kmart of all places, and my I was like, my dad was like the weekend with dad, so it was like stay with mom, and then dad would get you. And then like the dude we bought it from, my it was like a $300 system at the time because I wanted the Sega Saturn, and I was playing. You could the store they had all this thing set up, and you guys would play and shit like that. And the TV up there, so your head would be like that, and you're playing. And then the dude was like, "Oh yeah, you don't want the N64 because you need a rumble pack, and then you need a memory card, and then you all what you did, you needed the rumble pack underneath, and then a memory chip or whatever. And the PlayStation, you needed the memory card, but it had the DualShock, the original DualShock, and you had
Yeah.
to hit the middle button, which would activate the DualShock. And all we could afford at the time, I think the demo disc came with it. It had Tumby and it had Gran Turismo One and all that shit. And then it had the first game we bowled my brother and me got was Jeremy McGrath Supercross '98 because that's the only game we could afford. And GameStop and shit wasn't around yet. It was Kmart and shit like that. So
Yeah, I just was like, I played this, I wanted it. Parents looked into it. Turns out the PlayStation 1 was cheaper.
oh,
And this was back when KB Toy Store was still a thing. So they went
yes.
in there and they asked like the employees, and the employees were like, PlayStation 1 has more variety of games, better for like a little girl,
Mhm.
things like that. Which fair enough, because I know N64 had like some nice games like Banjo-Kazooie, things like that.
Banjo-Kazooie,
But then I remember being interested in Castlevania, but also Castlevania freaked me out because it was very dark.
I never played the first one, and I know everybody's gonna kick my ass for that one because
Listen, I've never played a Castlevania game. I just wanted to play that one, and I
oh, but
never
I heard
got
it
my
was so
N64, so I
fucking
never played
good.
it.
Like everybody was like, somebody gave me a disc to resurface. I don't know if you guys know what resurfacing is, but it was a sander you would buy from like KB Toys or whatever, and you stick your CD in
Hmm.
it, and you would sand it to
Yeah.
like make it. Now you can go to a store and they can like resurface your disc and get scratched, like whatever. But I remember somebody's like, hey, can you resurface it? And they never got that. Resurfaced it, never played it, and I found it in a freaking one of our CD cases recently, and I'm like, oh my god, this is somebody's game that I had, and I'm like, oops. But I never played Castlevania, but everybody was like, dude, it's so fucking good, and I never popped it in the system in my life.
Yeah, I remember I used to get like gaming magazines, even though
Mm.
I didn't have games.
Did they make you
And
feel like you were like dreaming about like the game you wanted to play? Because I know I
yeah,
would look and I'm like, I
I would see
can't
the
wait to
pictures and I'd be like, oh, I want to play this. It's so pretty looking. Like,
yeah. Like for me, it was like
um,
Crash Bandicoot, Tekken. I would see that, and I'm like, then Metal Gear Solid dropped, and that was like my shit. And I didn't get a copy of that till I was in high school. A friend of mine, we
when
were still
when I
broke.
got my PlayStation, my cousin gifted me. Do you ever remember there was like a like PlayStation used to have a mailing thing where you would get demo discs in the
Mm-hmm.
mail. It
Mm-hmm.
would be little cardboard.
Little
I
slip,
had, yeah, it was like a little
little
cardboardy thing with
cardboard,
the disc,
and if
and it
you
was like a few trailer videos, but
mhm.
then you'd also get like demos.
Yeah, and it would be like one, two, or three. It'd be like Tumby or
Yeah,
Crash,
yeah, yeah,
and then like
yeah,
because that was the first one that we got with the. Because my dad was like, okay, what game can I buy then? There's never we're at Kmart, guys, and my dad just spent like $300 on the console. He's like, y'all get one fucking game, and we didn't even have a
Same with my
memory.
parents.
We
My
didn't have a
parents were
fucking.
like,
We
"You
didn't
get
get
one."
a. We had to both like I had to pick up dog shit. My crippled ass had to pick up dog shit with like one crutch, and I'm like, yeah, just to get a fucking memory card because we couldn't afford. Our parents were broke. Like It was either like, hey, you get a bike or you fucking go outside and work. We got you a system, let's play it, you know? I mean, I think every kid can relate to that because once your parent got your console, you were playing one game for like the rest of the year. Because,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I remember the magazine, like you said, in the little slip. What was the, you remember the first game you played?
Oh God. So I remember my parents got me Spyro with the PlayStation.
Ooh.
That the first Spyro, that was the game. And then of course they made the mistake of buying it, but no memory card. And they weren't aware that I needed a memory card.
I don't think any parent knew. What was like you say, like I said, you spent all that money. My dad was super
Yeah.
on it. Like he's like, I just took 300. So if y'all want a memory card, oops.
Yeah.
If you want a memory card, y'all need to fucking
Yeah.
shovel,
They didn't know because I
no.
think the guy didn't tell them. And so
Oops,
I
sorry.
think for like a month,
Yeah.
I would every time I'd turn on the game, I would have to restart Spyro. And it was just kind of obnoxious. And I had to tell them, I was like, please just give me a memory. Like, I can't.
And they
And like
were
when they realized what was happening, that's when they were like, oh, okay.
what
And
the
they
fuck
got
did
me a
they
memory card.
they retailed for what, 30, $40 at the time? I forget.
Yeah,
The
it was
first
like back in the day, it was pretty expensive. It was like between, depending on how many gigas it
mm-hmm.
had, it was like anywhere
It was
between,
eight megabytes.
it could be, yeah, it could be anywhere
Yeah.
between
No, it was eight.
20. No, it dropped to 20 later. It was like between 30 to 50, depending on
You guys
the
gotta remember,
gig.
like when PS1 came out, there wasn't like gigabytes like there is now, like uploads. You got a
Mm-hmm.
game, it was fucking broken, it was broken. There was no patches. It
Yeah.
wasn't Game Shark. Game Shark wasn't out yet. If that shit
Ooh.
didn't play, it didn't play. Like they were
Ooh.
black
The
discs.
moment when you would put the memory card in and it would be corrupt and then you just couldn't find the files.
Oh my god, I got a story for you guys. Holy shit.
Oh,
Oh
my
my
favorite was okay, I kind of miss when you would put the memory card in and you would go to the menu and you could click memory card and then each game had its own little icon and sometimes they were animated
hmm
icons. Like I kind of miss accessing those. Those were
hmm
weird. It feels weird remembering that. Like
No,
you
like well, PlayStation 2. We're not gonna skip I had the PlayStation, but they had that also, but the PlayStation 1, a fun Metal Gear Solid fact I found out, which
hmm.
scared well, I'm gonna put this in the what game scared the shit out of you guys? You're gonna go down to the email and you're gonna fucking email us what
Oh,
the hell
email us what games scared
scared.
you.
We'll read it out. Give us your name. You want us to read your name, we'll read your name.
I
But the
guarantee you
game
some of them would still scare me nowadays
uh
because pixels, like the blocky
mhm.
pixels are just
Well,
they freak me
Metal Gear
out.
Solid 1, guys, was so fucking ahead of its time that if you played anything and had it on the memory card, Psycho Mantis would read your memory card. Literally,
Yeah.
it scared the fucking shit out of me because I was like, "What the fuck is he?" And then I couldn't figure out how to unplug. When you see somebody say, like, "Oh, the metal, should stick it in a controller port," that you had to stick it in a controller port too because you would read your movements to the controller, and the screen would go black for a second. It would say Hideo, which I didn't even know who the hell Hideo was, but now it's Hideo Kojima, which is now the creator of Kojima Productions, who did Death Stranding, all the Metal Gear Solid and shit like that. But you were supposed to do Resident Evil, or yeah, with Guillermo, but that shit fell through. But now there's another rumor that he is working on something or Silent Hill with Del Toro again. But that game would scare the shit out of me. Like literally, for that second, I'm like, how's he? But yeah, PlayStation 2 had the same thing where like the little icons would pop up, and like you said, the fucking corruption was horrible too. Because when you lost your shit,
That was it.
it was gone. There was
Mm.
no. You could spend a weekend just playing, and all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck just happened?
And if you were like me that you played the good RPGs where you would
Mm-hmm.
spend hours grinding, oh my
Because my
god.
cousin, like, back to the funny fact, I was playing Driver One, and
Hmm.
like we couldn't really figure out how. We used to rent games from the grocery store. I don't know if you guys know that was the thing. Your parents could go to the little video section that was there, and they'd have to get a fucking video card and stuff like that. And then we would sit there and we'd rent a game. We couldn't get past the first level of Driver, but then we finally learned how to play it. And we got so far into it, we get to the end of the game, and you can go to like the free room. And my cousin came over and started playing it and decided to overwrite our save, the whole thing, wiped out the whole fucking card. So we're all
Oh my
like,
god.
oh, what the? And she's like, I didn't know. We're like, oh, all of our Final Fantasy saves, all of the, all the shit we ever had was gone. And nothing you could do. You just had to like deal with it. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't even know. Did you have any like bad story about that?
Gosh. Maybe.
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 I could see you throwing a controller against the wall.
I've never actually like purposely thrown a controller against the wall, but I have done that thing where like so I was that kid who would hold the controller and like if I was playing a racing game or like a platformer, you know how like you're just so into it and then like your character jumps and you do the whole little like half out of your chair. Or like if you're tilting the car, you tilt with it. Like that was me as a kid. And sometimes like I would get like really sweaty hands, and so like the controller would slip out of my hands and just like on the floor, and I'd just be like, ah.
Oh my god.
But I've always generally been really good with my controllers. There was only one time where it actually fell, and it wasn't that I threw it; it fell out of my hand, like because the cable's long, so like it was slipping. So I grabbed it by the cable on instinct, and it just went down, and it hit the floor. And since you know how like the hand grips were so hollow back then, like the back of one of them just like broke.
Yeah.
So there was like a whole chunk missing off the back, and I was just like very upset by that.
Oh my god. Yeah, we broke a few controllers.
I think it was a PS2 one though. It was a PS2 one.
PS1s were.
Yeah. No, I had a PS2 one that had like a hollow. Because remember, PS2 also still had like some hollow like in the hand.
Yeah, and you can use your PS1s on the.
And it was a blue like transparenty blue one, and I was so upset because I loved that controller. Like it was a lot of begging to get that controller.
Real, like your parents would like. You guys don't understand. Like we get one controller, and you would just share it with your fucking brother or cousin or somebody who'd come over, and they had to have a controller or like something broke. You were screwed. What was the first game you remember playing?
Like, ooh, like on my console or just like in general?
And what was the first one that your parents bought for you, or you were like, okay, I got the PS1. First one.
They gave me Spyro with it.
First one.
That was like the first one.
Yeah.
And then I got the memory card with it, and it was oh god, I don't even remember if it was like a gray memory card or not, because the only memory card I remember having was this one that I got at Toys R Us, and it's the weirdest memory card because I swear to God, I've shown this memory card to several people.
They don't remember.
And they're like, I've never seen this type of memory card in my life. Or I'll describe it to them, and they're like,
you didn't have a Switch? Card?
Yeah. So it was.
I know.
Transparent. Yes. It was like a blue one.
And it had a switch, so you could switch back
and forth. And it had a little button, and it said 1 and 2, and so you could swap it. And I remember I got it because I begged for it, and it had a lot of memory in it.
Yeah, because you would go to layer 1, and then you go to layer 2, and there was more.
Yeah, and it was
The good thing with Zoom, we can actually pause. So we have stuff like that. We can actually pause video and stuff like that. But hi, Mom.
If anything, too late. It happens.
Welcome to the podcast.
It happens. But no. Yeah, I had that one, and I remember I took a lot of begging. But the funny thing is, I remember that I'd seen it at a Toys R Us. Because I think I had like one of the basic memory cards first, the 8 gigs, and it was just
it was a silver. Yeah, it was like never a gig. It was 8.
There was like nothing, and I think I
it was 8 megabytes.
Selling it. I ended up selling it because I was like, this isn't like once I got the second one, I sold that one. But that second one, I remember vividly. I was like on vacation here in Puerto Rico, and we were going to our beach house, and I had taken my PlayStation because I was like, I'm gonna be bored. I don't do beaches, not my thing. So I was going to stay inside the beach house and just play video games. And I remember I walked into the Toys R Us near the beach house. And my mom was like, just find something to entertain yourself with. So I went into the bargain bin, and I found for $20, was it 20? I think it was 20 or 10. Star Ocean 2, which became one of my all-time favorites. And I'm still pissed that I lent it to someone and he lost it. But he redeemed himself because he was like, yeah, I lost your game, but that was around the time the PSP version came out, and so he ended up buying that one for me to replace it, which I like both, but but I bought that, and then that's when I looked in the display cases and I saw that one memory card, and it was $20, and I was like, listen, this is gonna save a lot more for me. And like I begged my dad, and my dad's like, okay, I'll get you this memory card. So I still have it somewhere. This is the funny thing. I still have it in
If you
like a
can
drawer.
find it, we're posting it somewhere.
And I was just like, I still have my PS2 one as well. It's a transparent red one.
It's funny. I still have a PS2
Hey, baby.
one, yeah, somewhere. Oh yeah, Luna's there.
Yeah, she's just chilling.
She's our little mascot.
We'll do a thing with her somehow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go make a little keychain for her.
Aw. But yeah, no, it was definitely Spyro was my first game to circle back on that. And then after that one, they got me Final Fantasy VII.
See, I wish I knew.
That's where my RPG like journey began.
Yeah, I loved it. Like everybody's like, "Why don't you play all these?" I'm like, dude, I just remember playing games we could afford because it was like the brother, and you got to pick something, and
yeah,
this and
and
that.
I remember getting it because like my cousin had given me those demo discs, so I would play those as well, just out of curiosity. And so I had played 7, and I played the demo for 8 as well. But that was like later on. And I played a demo for Tomb Raider, and they had a Crash demo. They had a Croc demo, which I remember playing Croc. It is the weirdest thing I've played in a while.
Croc, I ended up getting at a pawn shop. Like,
I bought it like when it was like maybe $5 or $6, like on sale. Because it was like, oh, it's a classic, but it's not selling anymore.
Yeah, Sony would do this.
I just was like, let me try this game, and then I tried it, and I was like, what the heck am I playing?
Yeah. Sony would do this thing of like, okay, game of the year, greatest hits, and then you would see the green logo. And,
that was on my Croc box. It was like the green thing.
Yeah, it would say greatest hits. It'd be like Gran Turismo, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, Tomb Raider would be on that list. Like, I forget the whole. We'll pull up Awake You, whatever. We'll pull that up, see what you guys think, but. We're just kind of going down what we got into, and what was your? I'm gonna say even like, so like you remember getting that game like we did. How many games would you get a year? Like we would only get like maybe 1 or 2 if we were lucky.
About the same. I'd get like maybe 2 games a year.
Because games were
and that was like until I got like my own money and stuff like that. And then I started buying, like when the PS2 came out and it was backwards compatible, by then I was getting a little more cash. And so like I'd get like maybe 4 games at the most a year, at the most. So, but like not a lot. So I'd have to be very pick and choose with my game.
It's not like today we're adults. We're like fucking grown adults. Yeah, basically we just buy what we want. We're like, oh, it's on sale. Okay, I'll just work 2 more hours.
It's not like nowadays where I go, Ollie, this game is like $5.
She does. She'll send me a text and she'll be like, "You up?" And I'm like,
play this. It's $5.
I'm like,
there's a good sale actually. And then right now.
here's the bad luck with Del Marie. I love her to death, but I will get her message and I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna be like, all right, I gotta let him put a few bucks aside. I'll buy the game, guys. And then a month later, Sony's like, hey, guess what? That game you just bought? Yeah, it's free on PSN, on PS Plus. And I'm like, bitch.
Listen, to be fair, I don't know that that's happening.
Every game I've got, so
I can't get in PlayStation's head.
Okay? So Soma was fucking great. So I did Soma. I did Brother. Well, Soma was good. Well, I'll do another one of that. I'll play that again.
Soma was the one that went on sale, and then Brother, you use the PlayStation Now.
Yeah, I use PlayStation Now because and the way
I don't think Brother's been on.
No.
At least in the time that I've told you, it's not been on.
Yeah, and then I think there's a few others ones that I got that I'm like, mother. But yeah, like every game that I've gotten to her, they're going on sale. It's just like either she's a good luck charm or a bad luck charm. I don't know. It just happens. You got the pupper down there with her, so that's what she's reaching for. But he's like,
sorry.
No, it's our mascot dog. It's a little cutie dog. Ooh, look at the gamer chair.
Mature.
There's Luna.
Like a baby.
The beautiful dog.
She's like freaked out a little bit.
I gotta go make her a keychain or her new dog collar.
She's a little bit freaked out right now. So I'm just
my lord.
Chill her on my lap for a bit.
Chill her on, yeah, she'll be fine. But every freaking game I've gotten so far has been either I get. She calls me and she's like, "Hey, get it," and I'm like, I buy it. I'm like, a month later, it's like, "Do you sense?" Even if you think it, I'm like,
It's only been 2 games. It's only been two
Three.
games, sir. Was it 3?
three. I can't
Well,
even
I know
remember
Amnesia was free, so I never told you to get Amnesia.
Amnesia I got for fun because I'm like, you know what? Because we plan on doing Let's Plays together. So we plan on doing. I've got a capture. I got the Elgato recently, so
Yeah.
um we'll do share plays and stuff like that. Because Dell's like, I don't play horror, so I'm gonna let you jump into that or a game you don't have. Look, you play that. 'Cause I want to see your ass jump. And I'm like, I haven't even played Evil Within very. I'm Evil Within. I'm like, I'm slowly going through Evil Within, and there's that fucking first sequence where I'm like. And you got to hide in the locker, and the guy's vroom, 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 and you're like,
Yep.
oh, shit, 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 shit.
Yep.
Like, don't breathe, don't breathe, don't breathe, don't breathe, don't fart. And then if you played Until Dawn, guys, you literally got to hold the controller still. I found a few cheats and like for drop the controller and let it sit, and then they don't fucking get you because if you move your controller, the character comes out and grabs your ass and shit. And
Yep.
Until Dawn, that one I played with a buddy of mine, and he was like, the one game I have not played is Outlast, and Pernisco had tried to get me to play that, and I'm like, fuck this shit. Nope. Nope. But yeah, it's been three games for me.
Amnesia, the only thing I've managed to do is get the trophy for chickening out.
I will. So we'll
I
do
went
it.
into the first room. I go through the open door. I see
Mhm.
that little hallway, and I see like the blood splatters on the
Yeah.
carpet. And I see the one door, and they're like, "Open this door," and I went, "No." And so I literally like closed out of the game, and on my screen it was just like "Ba-ding," trophy, and I think it was like a for chickening out trophy. I was like,
So I've got the I bought the like collector's edition, so I got it. So we'll definitely play through it. And Dell's gonna probably be like, go in the door. I'm like, like pussy. I'm like, yeah.
I'm still laughing at the fact that I didn't know you were scared of spiders, and then I told you get brothers.
I do. Well, the sad part is my bros went out and got me. Michael and David went out and got me Dragon Age Inquisition, which is probably one of the best Dragon Ages out there. And then I'm like, hey man, does it have like tarantulas or whatever? Like I can deal with small spiders, but I have a real fear of spiders. I have friends that are fucking scared of snakes. I got a friend who's scared of heights. We went up on one of those things and we're climbing up about 100 feet. He goes to look over and he grabs on the three of us. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. He's like, how high are we? I'm like, we're 300, almost 100 feet. And he goes, I can't. Nope, nope, nope. On his hands and knees, crawling the rest of the way up the damn mountain because he's terrified looking over the side. So I know what fear is, and that's the only thing that really scares me. Really, spiders. It's the butt. I had a tarantula about maybe a foot from me in somebody's hand, and they're like, "Hey, like, can you look at it?" And I'm looking at it, and they're like, "What do you like about it?" And I'm like, "It's the ass. It's the ass. It's the legs doing its thing. I can't get over it." So I can hold snakes and shit, no problem, but spiders, no bueno.
Yeah.
Spider Lady Freak Out. There's a funny video I put on Twitch because I text Dell as Dell's like chatting with somebody. I'm like, you didn't fucking tell me. And she's like, but I figured it out because I'm playing the game. The game's getting really good. I'm like, why is this chick falling in love with him so fast? No, that's some fucked up shit. That don't happen in real life. I'm like, oh boy, you did no. All of a sudden we go down this little cave. It gets dark, and I'm like, oh shit! And Dell's crying, laughing. She saw the video. My bro, I hop on with Pernesco, and I'm like, hey, do you want to see me freak out? Just let me calm down. Once I figured out the motion, what I had to do, I'm like, okay, she's not as ugly looking, or her ass isn't that, weird looking. But Dragon Age Inquisition, I couldn't play because I started getting into it, and then I had to go into some caves. And I told Pernesco, I'm like, hey man, how like realistic are the spiders? He's like, oh bro, he's like, they are fucking realistic. He's like, they're huge, and when you kill them, the legs fucking curl up. And I'm like, I can't do it. And I even had a friend who was like, hey, I'll mod it for you so you can get another thing because I know you've arachnophobia. So I'll mod it so you can just play it. I'm like, I want to play, but I'm fucking so bad with spiders. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm like, yeah. Because they spent $60 on it and I still haven't like played all the way through it. I feel so bad. So sorry, guys. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And that's like Diablo. We played Diablo 3 and there's a huge thing in Diablo 3 with a huge, I mean, I had a projector about 100 inches on the wall. Think of a huge fucking spider taking up the whole screen and me going, ah! And they're like, hit X, hit X, hit X, hit X, hit X. And I'm like, hitting X and the spider's dying. And everybody's like, Ollie, you okay over there? I'm like,
I can see you literally making that noise. That's the sad part.
Well, it's funny because like a buddy, we were playing Gears of War 3 and we're finishing it up and it's co-op and everything. And we have another player playing with us. he had to jump off because he was getting nightmares in one of the scenes where you gotta like cut through them and they gotta blow up the inertia or ammonia, whatever they call it in the game. And I'm like, hey, why aren't you playing with us? He's like, bro, I'm getting fucking nightmares from this game. I'm like, oh, didn't know. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, you know how you don't like spiders yet? The game's giving me fucking nightmares. I'm like,
Have you
yikes.
ever had have you ever had a game give you nightmares?
I don't think
Or like have
nightmare
you ever played a game that like you
made
were
me like
reluctant to go to sleep after because you were like, I don't want to think about this in my head.
there was one game that I got, and it wasn't a nightmare. I was playing a game called Mafia. For those who might not know who that is, Mafia 3, Mafia 1, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there
Okay.
was this one level where my parents just got me a computer because high school was going on and you needed a computer or whatever. And it was Christmas. My dad gave me some money. He's like, "Hey man, go get some games." I know you like gaming. That's your thing. My parents said like we would go dirt biking and stuff. My parents like go outside and play, and I was working out and stuff like to keep my body trained. Um, but I digress with that. Mafia, because one of the levels was so fucking strenuous that you had to go down and you had to go down this you had to go down this parking garage and you had to get this thing and oh fucking you had to get the truck out and then you had to drive away and people are chasing you and shit and it was not giving me nightmares but headaches to where I was trying to plan it out in my fucking head where I was sleeping and I'm like okay so Ollie you go down this stairwell there's a guy there shoot him Ollie okay do this and you'll fucking get it. It took me over I think 4 days. I was having like strenuous nightmares, not nightmares, but like I said, just kind of like, what the fuck? How can I get past this level? Um, I don't think any game has totally like frightened the shit out of me to where I had like night terrors. But
Mm.
Mafia in that one level, and if I can, I'll find the video and show you guys what I'm talking about. It seems so fucking stupid now, but it was just strenuous on me because I couldn't get past it. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I gotta get past this fucking level, but how do I do it? Because you had to go around the truck and then you had to boom, boom, boom. So I was trying to strategically, okay, where's the game loading these guys? Because it was fucking rough. I mean, it was like 3 levels you need to go down. It was hard.
Okay.
Was there
Eh.
one for you that was?
Oof.
Ooh,
Oof. I think there's two games. I know one actually gave me nightmares, and I said no. Um, one of them, the one that freaked me out the most was the intro to BioShock.
yes,
I'm not gonna lie, the introduction to BioShock was one of those games where I did that intro and I did not want to get out of the
really.
elevator. Listen, you ever had this ominous feeling, even if your brain goes, "It's a game. Whatever happens, not it's not going to happen to you."
Excuse me.
Yeah, my hands just went, "No,
No,
don't, don't go. It's a trap."
I think we all get that way of like we know it's fucking coming.
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum was one of them because I was going to the morgue scene, and I love creepy shit.
Hmm.
And I've been in morgues. I've been to real autopsy because they wanted to show us, the body and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and the person, So I'm used to that shit in real life. But when you know it's coming in a game, it's like, okay, why is the music getting subtle? Why is it doing
Mm.
this? And like you just said, you freeze up and you're like, I know it's what I do now is I turn down my headphones a little bit because I'm like, it's coming. Drop the
Yeah.
headphone base, and then I'm like, I go through and I'm like, fuck it, and just go
Me
through.
playing my little point and click horror, like psychological horror game, where literally anytime I heard ominous music, I would just take my headset off, and everybody watching me on Twitch would be laughing because they knew that I was doing it to avoid the jump scare.
Hmm. I mean,
I'd be like,
Arkham.
nope, nope.
I mean, Arkham had it, and they had one in Arkham Knight that scared the fuck out of
Ooh.
me with the bat. I mean, the Joker, fucking Mark Hamill. God bless the
Hmm.
man, he's amazing. Fucking does the and you're like, ah. I wasn't streaming, but I was like, oh shit. Everybody who I've talked to said that scared the shit. You're not expecting it. You latch
Yeah.
onto a building and you don't know where he's going to be. It's like it's not planned, but I guess wherever the game thinks you're going to go, it latches on it. He fucking put it in. You're like, ah.
Oh my god.
Um, so that was
Oh.
the one. What was the other one?
The other one, so I never played it myself, but I watched like three playthroughs of it because I was actually really intrigued by the story. But the way the game is set up and like it's like hand drawn
Mhm.
basically, but it's black and white with little details in red, and so it's just super creepy. And the noises that you hear in the music, it's just oh my gosh.
Ominous.
But it's Never Ending Nightmares is what it's called, and it's technically the developer of the game admits that the game is a manifestation of his depression,
Really?
but it's just the way, like, okay, so the character, it literally feels kind of like in a dream sequence where the character, when he runs, it's just very slow motion like a
Uh-huh.
dream, and
Kind of
he
like the
loses
Max
his
the
breath
Max
really
Payne
fast.
sequence.
He loses his breath really fast, and most of the time it's just you avoiding these like nightmare creatures. So you've got like
Hmm.
this big deformed baby, and at one point he's in a mental like asylum
Hmm.
and like a hospital, and you've got like all these creatures that like can't see him, but there's glass on the floor, so if you walk on that
It's a,
glass they'll hear
yeah.
him. And it's this one game where I was very intrigued, but because of the way the game looked, I had like two nightmares of this game.
Really?
So I think it was because the first few episodes I watched them at night
Oh,
and like in my living room alone with the lights off.
no,
And then I
Marie.
was like, never again.
Yeah.
So, but I will admit, the PT demo that came out.
That's fucking okay. Okay, that give me nightmares. However, it scared the fuck out of me too.
I
I had four
when
people
when
sitting
I
in the
saw that
room.
little when I saw that little embryo in the sink,
Hmm.
I did not sleep that night
I
because I'm so
had.
impressionable. I was like, I'm gonna have a dream of this stupid thing, and I don't
Mhm.
want it today. So I literally didn't sleep that night because
We
I was scared to have a dream.
oh my god, I've never had insomnia from a game. I've never had something. I mean, I had fucking jump scares where I'm like, but I think
Yeah.
like I have my nightmares from gaming are more like, oh fuck, I can't get past this, and
Uh-huh.
I start thinking about it more like, how can I get past the
You
level?
you
What
have
did they
dreams
fuck?
of like the level, but like
Yeah,
the way you resolve it has nothing to do with how you're gonna
yeah,
actually do it in the game.
no, it didn't. There's no like somebody's like, did PT scare the fuck out of you? I'm like, fuck yeah, I was the only one playing it. I had like five people and like five people came in with beers and we're all having a good time and everyone's like, Ollie, what are you playing? Because everybody wanted to see the huge projector that I had on the wall. So they're like,
Oh my gosh.
everybody's like, hey, put PT on. I'm like, okay. Start playing and everybody's like, oh, go,
Mm.
go, go, go. I'm like, oh, and then the fucking lady comes out and you like fight you like rips you down, you chokes you, and you're like, and then you fucking finally get to the end, the embryo, and then, like the walls are fucking bleeding, and you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's going on? And then
When
Hideo Kojima spoke about it. He's like, yeah, I don't like scary games. I'm like, why the fuck did you make it? He's like,
that weird moment when you look up and then the lady's like on the second floor balcony just staring at you, you're like,
yeah, and you see her floating, and you're like,
hmm.
do I go?
I really dislike the scene where you're going through that hallway and you reach the entryway hallway
Mm,
and it's that fridge that's
mm,
bleeding just hanging there.
blood.
And I just
Yup.
was like, that is that gonna actually like fall and just
Rip
bust
open.
open? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Hmm. Yeah, I remember playing it, and somebody still, one of my friends still has it, and he plays it a lot. And he's like, what game? Do you like horror games? I'm like,
I've
what?
seen people sell consoles for like
Hmm.
hundreds just because that
Well,
demo's in
just
it.
because the demo's on there, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
$1,000, $3,000. It's like, why would you
Yeah.
want to? Like, I don't want to, you know. Even within,
Yeah.
I will play finally. I'll have Dale hop on with me if we play it. We'll do a let's play together.
Yeah.
I just finished up Last of Us 2 again. I just finished up getting some trophies on that. And everyone's like, did that scare you? I'm like, there were some fucking scares in that. Like, not scares, like, because there's creatures that, like, come at you and shit like that.
Hmm.
And I'm cool about it, but, like, they rip out of the walls. There's some that are, like, they're stuck in the wall and and I'm like, ah, great, motherfucker.
No,
Luckily, me,
God.
I always carry a shotgun shell, so I'm like, you know, but, yeah, like, I don't really, like, get overly, mine are just level related, like, frustration, related. I don't really sit there and
Well,
go,
it's just because the visual, like some
mhm,
of the visuals are just so impressionable to me that like
mhm.
when I look at a game, I know in my head I'm like, this is gonna follow me for the rest of the day, and if I fall asleep, it's gonna be there. So that's why when I saw that embryo thing, I was like,
Mhm.
I can't sleep tonight. I did get like 2 hours once I was like absolutely exhausted. But
Yep.
I just kind of was like, after I saw it, I forced myself to go on YouTube
Mhm.
and look for funny videos to try and counteract it
Oh my
because
god!
it just would not leave my head.
Remember the
I was
one?
just like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and I don't know if I'm okay with that.
Okay, there is one game. Okay, one game that did stick with me. It was the beginning of The Last of Us one stuck with me. Because
Okay.
you're sitting there and playing, and I ended up downloading it like immediately once it came out,
Mhm.
and that didn't give me an nightmare, but it made me think and feel bad because I'm like, this game's fucking me up mentally of like psychology.
Yeah.
Because even Troy Baker just did a video with her, and then Nolan
Okay.
North playing it, and Nolan North plays Nathan, one of the later characters. I don't know, Del, have you played that game or no?
The Last of Us.
Hmm.
So people gonna be real upset with me. I have not played it. However,
We will do a
um,
playthrough.
however, I will admit, it was like the first game that I bought for my brother when I gifted him his PS4
Mm,
because there was a Christmas where back when I lived in Florida, my mom and my brother came down, and my mom was calling me back when I worked at the store
GameStop.
that will not be named.
Oh,
Um, well, I guess we could name it, right? Who
we don't
cares?
work, GameStop,
Eh,
guys. Yeah,
GameStop.
GameStop.
My mom was like, "Do you think you could find me this console?" And I was like, I'll look into it." And that was when they had the little deal where it was like, I don't think it was a pro, but it was a slim, and it
Yeah, it
came
was
with
Slim, and I
games.
think they were giving away one game with it.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, you could choose
yeah.
the game. So I got that game because the variety was not great.
No, it never
But
is.
my brother was like so stoked to get his PS4.
Mm.
So in the apartment, he was playing it. So I would literally sit anytime he'd put it on, and I would watch him play. So
We need
I seen the whole game. Like I know what
we
happened.
need
I
to do
love
we
the
need to do a
story.
let's play. I gotta
I'm
these
just
get
not good at pew
you'll be
pews.
fine.
So
You'll
I
be
don't
fine.
play pew pews.
We'll be fine because now I can actually like send her over, like switch the controller over to her and stuff like that. Yeah, Last of Us 2 is fucking amazing. I finished it up, and thank God I somebody at work, it didn't
The
get spoiled for
second one
me.
is the one that I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love it. I
I
hated it because I am biased and I
I liked
do
it.
not like a lot of the elements that they did. And as
They did
somebody
a well once
who
I
studied literature, it really bothered me.
I'm
Like it's
glad.
fine to have parallels,
Mhm.
to
But the
compare
funny part was,
characters, but
I
literally everything was just a mirror carbon copy to the point where I was like, okay, now it's just not
it
even
ends
storytelling, it's just lazy.
it ends fucked up. It ends. It had me. That again had me thinking at the end. I'm like, oh fuck.
I am vindictive and I'm like, I would have just stabbed
Well,
her.
I actually somebody else told me the same thing, and they're like, I fucking. What do you think? And I'm like, I finally finished it. Thank God no one spoiled it. They're like, what do you think? And I'm like,
It's just the way they did it. Like the
well, and
way they set
the
it up
good thing,
was bad.
no, actually,
If they hadn't done a certain thing
mm,
before
they had to
introducing
though. They got
like
the script. Well, spoilers.
if they had made me sympathetic towards the
Mm,
other character before
yeah,
they did the one thing,
yeah,
I would have been more
yeah.
torn,
And
but
I'll
I
think
was
if I
not.
could pop the podcast up with them on it because they talked to all of them privately,
Hmm.
and Troy Baker kind of told people to go fuck themselves,
Yeah.
and somebody
No,
else
I
told them to
know.
go fuck themselves, and
Yeah, I
Troy is
know because like
and
the fans went too far.
yeah,
Like it's something to
Troy
not
Troy
like the
Troy Troy
story, but
was Troy
geez.
Baker was fucking. I've never seen a man so lovely, so pissed, and he said, "Listen, don't you fucking ever come after developers like that." And
Yeah.
he explained to them, he's like, "Listen, it's a fucking game, and if you can't fucking just," and he fucking ripped
Yeah.
everybody a new one, and I'm like, and then when I listened to their podcast, I was like, that's why you went there, and that's what Neil was talking about there, and the girl that played Abby, because I was looking at all the voice actors, and I'm like, oh shit, you were pregnant and you had to do and then I realized I still have a love hate for her, and then I
Mhm.
realized why Troy said he didn't know much of what the fuck was going on, but
Mhm.
he knew something was happening, and he gave them the go ahead, and I'm like, oh fuck. He said there were three different starts of the game, and he had to approve, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh.
I'm like, so and he's like, how the fuck do you think I felt? I had to give them the okay of like, let's take it here. He's like, we had three different
Yeah.
scripts. So I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
At the end of the
Yeah.
game, I don't feel let down by the game. I have a love fucking hate for it. I have a hate for Abby, and I
Same.
fucking love that I fucking kill. And I love the actress is fucking
Absolutely
beautiful.
same.
The actress is fucking beautiful. She's a sweetheart. I got to listen to her podcast, and she explained she explained all that she had to go offline for about 6 months because she was
Mm-hmm.
working on something else, and she's like, she talked to Neil Gaiman, and she called Troy Baker personally, and she said, Troy, what the fuck do I do? And Troy working on another thing. Troy is one of the biggest voice actors you guys will think of. Sweetheart of a guy, especially on Twitter. He told her to fucking man up, and he told her he loved her, and if they don't fucking like it, so be it. And I'm like, dude, smart move, you know.
I
But
mean,
he
I will admit, if an actor can make me dislike
and
a
she said,
character
mhm.
to the extent where I disliked it, I admire that actor.
She well, the way she
And
recorded it,
I never felt any hate towards the voice actress because honestly, like
she
what
played it
fault of
so
it
fucking well that I
what
was like, I love you,
and
and I
not only
fucking
that, like
hate you.
what fault of it is
Mhm.
her? Like
No, and the same thing.
she didn't make her own script, you know?
She said that she got the script. I'll have to post this podcast to her, guys, because it's so fucking good. She broke down the character with Troy. And she wasn't with Troy. She was with Greg from Up at Noon from IGN, and she broke down the character. And Greg was like, "How the hell did you get the script? And what the hell happened?" She's like, "I had a fucking blast playing Abby. I had a fucking blast because I got to play this character in a way that you fucking hate her, but you kind of understand her." And I'm like, ah, yes, you fucking cunt. Ah, yes, you did it. And I hate
Yeah.
her. I fucking hate her, and I love her as an
Yeah.
actor. She did great. She did a great job. Um, and
I
Ashley
do like
Johns,
that they showed flaws in all the characters
they
because
did,
no character was really
and
right in their
no,
decisions.
and Ashley, because they talked to Ashley, and they're like, hey, do you want to come back for another one? Because they were, I think they were at like a rap party with Troy, and then
Hmm.
Neil went up to them and spoke to them and said, hey, I might want to do another game. What are y'all thinking? And they all said no at first. They're like, no, I think we went as far as we could. And then Ashley kind of brought it up to Troy, and Troy is like, if you can show me this, then I'll go ahead. And I'll put the podcast in the link. It's so fucking good on how it all became to be. Because I'm like, but then they're talking about maybe doing another one, but they don't know. They're all saying no. They're all saying
Yeah.
no. We ended it the way we wanted, and the way it ends, guys. Even I'm like, holy shit!
I feel
I
like if they went back to the Firefly thing, it's just not gonna like
no, and
because it's like okay, yeah, there's sort of like that open-ended,
mhm. Well,
story for them.
if you guys see the all spoilers, still, Ellie
It's,
loses fucking 2 fingers. Gets them
yeah.
fucking bit off, like bit the fuck off.
I feel like if they went for a third game, Ollie, she's not gonna be there for most of it.
No, I mean, I thought this
It's
was her
gonna
last.
definitely concentrate on Fireflies and
I
what
mean, oh, I
happens
thought
with
this was
them.
her. I thought it was her. Like they fucking fooled me. I'm like, okay, the game can't go this long, and then it went
Yeah,
farther, and then it went farther, and I'm like,
yeah,
where the fuck are they going to end it? And there were some stupid sequences where I was like, getting kind of frightening, And then I saw like the transgender thing, and I saw the transgender thing, and I was like, okay, this is where this is going. All right, cool,
yeah.
whatever. And really, you didn't hear that part? I'm like, I didn't hate the game at all. I was like, it sucked me in more. Love hate with Abby. I loved Ashley Johnson as Ellie and her love relationship. Kelly Joel at fucking first, it killed me. But I was like,
Mhm.
all right, okay, here we go. So I knew that's what they were gonna do. But Troy brought that up, and he was like, yeah, this is the game plan we had planned, and it hurt, but I got through it. Now I'm getting the damn trophies, and I'm like, okay, I'm almost there. So I love what they
Yeah.
did. The game is beautifully textured. PS5 makes it look a little bit better, but it looks good. But like Dell said, she hates it and she loves it, and but never hate an actor because
No, God, no,
you
please.
didn't get
That
what because
I don't hate
What Troy Baker had
the
to fucking do
actor.
on that on his personal channel was fucking horrible
Hmm.
that he had to do that. He was furious.
I don't blame him
He
though.
was like, fuck you all for fucking telling someone that they. And I'm like, whoa, Troy, calm down. He's like, no, and he fucking put his coffee down. Troy Baker's a nice guy. I have a few friends
Uh,
I know somebody who worked with him actually on a thing. Said he's
hmm.
one of the kindest fucking people they've worked with, and the people who've met him said he's really nice. And I'm like, wow, to see him that pissed off, And
Yeah,
I work with actors too, and I'm like, guys, they're fucking acting. You don't think this breaks them down? Like they got to go into
yeah.
a fucking mindset.
I mean, remember the actress from Star Wars when she had
Mm,
to literally walk away from social media because people just
yeah,
treated her like
Rose.
crap.
Yeah, poor
And
girl,
I'm
man.
not saying I'm not a I'm listen, I love the actress. I wasn't a fan of
No,
Rose.
I liked her,
Uh
but they pushed her
like
too hard.
it's 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 the way they developed her in
Hmm.
certain aspects that I was just like, okay. Like I didn't hate her, but I was just
Mm,
like, I feel like even if they'd kept her to a background character,
mhm.
she wouldn't have really
Blossomed.
done much.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand the levels of hate that some people go through
No, and I've had a
towards
friend who works in Hollywood.
someone
He's been on a film, and
when
he said
it's
the
really
same thing.
not on them
Mhm.
what their character does.
No, and you don't know what it's like. I mean, I've acted and I've been in ADR and stuff like that, and then I'm
Hmm.
sitting there with a director, and he's like, "Ali, I need you to do this," and I'm like, "I did a voiceover," and he's like, "No, no, no," and they kept yelling at me through the headset, "No, no, 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 we need you to say it this way," and I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Get into the fucking head of what would you say?" And I'm like, so I said it the way, and then they're like angrier and angrier, and I'm like, I had to go to a fucking dark place in my head to get angry. And I'm like, oh god, why? Like this is how actors have to work. So guys, just remember they're fucking acting and they have a lot they gotta go through. So, you know, but we're gonna go into more of that, in a lot of games we play. So you'll see us playing and talking about shit like this, and we love it. It's like we love games that make us think. Soma at the end of that, I was
Hmm.
like, that game made me almost want to cry at the end because was like, no, no, no. And then I at the end of that game, I sat there and I'm like, holy fuck, he's all alone. Like
Yeah.
the copy of him is all alone. He's
Hmm.
scared. He's sad. That made me think
Yeah.
at the end. I'm like, shit.
There's plenty of games that have done that to me.
Mm,
Like it made me emotional.
mhm.
Uh Last of Us is one of the best ones to do it lately.
Yeah.
But before Last of Us is the one that I want you to watch me play, which is Near.
Yeah, I want to see that one. You
And
keep
not the
telling
new
me
one, not
about.
not
No,
Automata. No, Automata is the one that
we'll do it.
is
Let's watch. Yeah.
technically, I think it's technically supposed to be a prequel to the OG one,
Mm.
which is Near.
I didn't know that one until we
And
were chatting the other night. And you were like, no, no,
it's
no, no,
called
no,
Near
spell it
Replicant.
this way. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, Near Replicant is the one that I want you to watch, which is the PS3 one that I played. That oh boy, it is sad.
the deeper.
It's a sad, but also the soundtrack is amazing. So I can't
I
complain.
mean, I'm totally down. We'll do a let's watch and let's play and shit. Because I'm.
Yep, and
Once you
we'll
told me
sit
about it,
down and talk about it.
I was like, what is this game you speak of? And you're like, okay. And you're like, you started getting all sad. And I'm like, oh, what happened? You're like, no, no, it's not you. It's just the me feelings of it. And I'm like, okay. Uh, like somebody said, is it a one game that made me cry? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I felt like this.
Yeah.
I felt disappointed. I think the one game that made me feel was definitely Last of Us. That made me feel. Um, Game made me fucking break down for a minute. I'm just gonna go fuck. No. I think Metal Gear because I fucking loved it, and then it had me thinking about like bombs and nuclear shit. Because Hideo Kojima guys um, he's now done Death Stranding. I fucking love. I know many people who watch me play it are like, oh, how is it? I'm like, you're basically fucking Amazon Prime. um, Playing with Norman Reedus, and I text Norman Reedus through Twitter, and I said, dude, fucking phenomenal character. You guys did a great job.
I mean, the great thing about Near is you'll get to hear Laura Bailey cuss like a sailor.
I think some actors like to do that. Though. They like to find a character like
Well, that's
Ollie.
the thing. A lot of people look at Laura Bailey and they're like, she's such a sweetheart. And then you have her play Kaine in Near. And the introduction to this game is her literally cussing out a book, a talking book.
Oh,
Like literally the beginning into the game, she is cussing. And I'm just sitting there going, wow. And remember, this is me in like ugh, college, high school. I don't remember anymore. But I was just
we're
very
old.
like, oh, a game with a lot of cussing. Oh.
What was the first game that I had? Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto
I mean, I'd
3.
seen as a kid, before way before I had consoles, when like I had friends who had like the Super Nintendo and stuff like
Mm,
that. I'd seen Mortal Kombat and things like that when at like friend gatherings,
yeah.
basically. When I was tiny and impressionable, and I was just like, um, but I've not played them myself.
No, we'll
Well,
have
I
to get.
did a few years later, but still, it was just like very like, oh,
You never played any Mortal Kombat, no Tekken, nothing violent.
I played Mortal Kombat like many, 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 many years after. Like, ooh, I want to say it was PlayStation 2 era. So it was like
Was Mortal
Fatality,
Kombat?
but not as bad as the OGs.
Yeah, my first inquisition to Mortal Kombat obviously was on Sega, and I was learning how to do. Gotta remember, I'm 9 years old, so we're learning how to do
Yeah,
the fucking up B, whatever the fuck it is. And
yeah,
we have Nintendo. We don't have we don't have Sega. We don't have,
yeah,
like I said, our first consoles. Sounds like me and Dell's first consoles really were like PS1 because that's what our parents could afford, sadly.
yep.
And it's like every kid's like, oh my parents, but
Well,
everybody
also, my
was.
mom really didn't want me to get into consoles. To be fair, she was just very like, no, don't fall into
That was
that.
me. My parents were very being disabled and shit like that. 'Cause it's hard to with cerebral
I will
palsy.
say the first game I did play for PS1 that wasn't like the first game I owned was Spyro, but the first game I played was back when we had Blockbusters and they rented consoles.
Mm.
And I played Parappa the Rapper.
That one, yeah, we brought it up in the first part
I
when we first
liked
had you.
it.
Yeah, I played the demo at my grandparents because all I could do with it, I was playing fucking
Mm.
either N64, not N64. We were playing a PlayStation there at my grandparents' house, and the word that my grandfather would always hear from us because I'm Arab is Ali game Murki. Ali game would mean Ali wants to play game. Ali wants to play game. Because all
Yeah.
my grandfather wanted to do was watch his old music videos from like Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like in my little crippled ass and I'm playing, it kept me busy because there was nothing really to do for me. I couldn't go bike riding. I couldn't really go out and play because, you know, you're disabled. You can't really go do things. So I remember like it was frowned upon to play games. People were like, well, I don't want my son acting like your son. Like I did hear that from my mom's friend one day. I don't want my son acting up like your son, playing games. And now being 2021, everybody's either got a Switch or parents are now trying to get into the VR or they're trying to get a console. Which gaming isn't bad. Another finding out gaming is good for you. What the, people are
Yeah.
like, holy shit, like it's good for your depth perception. It's good for your memorize. It's like, yeah, it's been a lot of. I did a freaking report back in high school that was one of my senior essays was is gaming bad, and I did a 3 month study or 3 months fucking essay, and I ended up getting an A plus plus on it because she was like, you really broke that shit down. Of like, just because you play a shooting game doesn't mean you're gonna kill somebody. I'm like, no, it actually calms you the fuck down because it eases the tension of your day. And people are like,
Hmm.
oh wow, that's a thing. I'm like, yeah, playing VR actually helps you relax. Your heart rate drops. We're like, oh, I didn't know that. So it's weird. I mean, were your parents kind of like you said, your mom didn't want you to get into consoles? Was it just because she wanted you to be
Yeah.
a girl,
Well,
or you think, or
I, you
just live a
know,
life, or
I think I think they did it
okay.
because when I was young, I didn't have a lot of friends.
Hmm.
So ultimately, they did it to get me to stop just watching TV,
Same.
um,
That was me for
and
like,
doing other things because I didn't really have a lot of friends when we moved down to Puerto Rico. I could barely speak Spanish and I got bullied a lot.
really?
And I mean, like,
That wasn't your first
really
language?
bullied? No, no. I was an English speaker because I wasn't born here.
Oh, so you kind
Uh,
of picked it up second hand. Okay.
yeah.
I thought it would be the other way around. It would be Spanish first,
No,
then
no, no, no,
English.
no. I moved down here when I was 9.
Oh wow.
My whole family's Puerto Rican, but my dad was Air Force, so I lived
You
in
were an army brat, yeah.
yeah. So I was born in Germany, and then from there we moved to the U.S. and then it was like Arkansas and Arizona. Those were the places I lived.
Mm.
So English was my first language because that's what everybody spoke.
Yeah.
So I knew Spanish, but it wasn't great.
Ingrained in you, yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like
So
me.
like
She'll throw
I
me
was just
words and I'm
very
like, what was
awkward.
that?
Yeah, I was just very awkward. And also culturally, it was very different
Mm.
because I was raised as a little white kid, basically. Like I had a white kid mentality.
Right,
And
right.
then I came down to this island and it was very different. Back then it was still very sexist back then.
Mm.
So I was used to like climbing trees and skating and playing with boys and girls and sports and stuff. And uh, through no fault of my parents, they had to go work when we moved down here, and so I was under my grandmother's care. But also we had brought my little brother who was only 9 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandma had to watch him all day, so she couldn't watch me. So she wouldn't let me leave the house very often. So I
Mhm.
couldn't go across the street to play with a cousin or anything because she was
Right.
like, if I can't watch you, I'm not going to let you go out.
Yeah.
So I was very isolated and very
You
solitary.
sound like yeah, you sound like kind of like my childhood too. It was kind of like
And
that.
then kids at school would just kind of like not understand me because of the cultural difference. Like my
Yeah.
way of thinking was very different.
Right.
I was very tomboyish and things like that to
Hmm.
them, even though to me I was like, I'm not really
Yeah,
tomboyish.
on me, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I feel
kids
like
are meant
myself.
to be climbing things.
Right, yeah.
And teachers were very hostile as well. They were like, you're a girl, you shouldn't be playing with boys, shouldn't be climbing trees, shouldn't be doing
Mm.
this, yada yada. But then the girls didn't want to hang with me. Um,
Yeah.
so the boys, I had like two or three male friends, maybe one female friend, but none of them were really close to me.
Mhm.
So I'd spend a lot of time alone. So when I started getting video games in like sixth grade,
Mhm.
boys started hanging out with me more because they were like, "Ooh, common interest."
Yeah.
But I think ultimately they did. Yeah, they got it for me because I was like, I would go to my cousin's house and I'd play his console, and they would see that, like, it made me happy, gave me something to do that wasn't just staring at the TV like a potato.
Mhm.
Kind of let
Same with
let
my
me
parents.
use
Yeah, they're
my
like,
mind.
give him that. I'll make
They
him
were like,
happy.
"Ooh, get some platformers, get some puzzle games,
Yeah.
let her use her brain."
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think my mother thought that I was going to get as addicted to gaming in the long
I
run
think
as
my
I
parents, yeah,
did.
we're the same way because my parents
Mhm.
were the same way. They're like, hey, you got to go. We ended up going camping and stuff like that. And, like, I loved a bit of my childhood because I ended up started going jet skiing and dirt biking and
My
games.
family didn't have a lot of time to go
Yeah.
places, and then when we did, I wasn't very fond of some of the stuff. Like when we go to the beach house, I didn't mind being in the beach house. I'd read, I'd play my games,
Hmm.
whatever. But I'm not a fan of the beach
Yeah. It was sound.
itself.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
like I'd go for a few hours, but I just mostly would sit on the towel and read because
You wanted
it's
to
not
dwell
my
out. Yeah. You wanted to
thing.
go to the fantasy zone.
I was just like, this isn't my thing. I don't really like salt water and itchy sand and things like that. And I live so close to the beach and I barely go. I go to get acai bowls at this little shack near the
Right.
beach, and that's it.
Oh.
I'm not a big beach person,
I know it's funny because she's like, I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm like, you go to the beach? She's like,
I literally live like 7 minutes in a car at the most,
yeah.
7 minutes
To be fair though, I don't go to the
from the
beach often
beach.
myself either. I'm a
It's
lake
not my
person.
thing.
I
It's
like
not my
going
thing.
kayaking. I don't really like the ocean, but I do like to go like to rivers and I go fishing and stuff. And you were like, that's what people freak out about me because they're like, wait a minute, you're a geek, but you're like working on like laser cutters and like fishing and shooting. And I'm like, yeah, I like to live a little bit of a life. I like the games are fucking fun. They're my serenity. You don't kind of like what you just said. You felt
Yeah.
kind of odd. We felt odd, and people didn't start hanging out. It was hard for me because people were like, "Oh, you're broken. What do we do with you?" So what do we do with Ali? Stick him here in front of the TV. You'll be fine. Um, and later, like I didn't have many friends either. It was hard for me to adjust and learn and walk and um, until I started, working out and muscles started getting bigger. And people were like, "Fucking jacked," you know. And people were like,
Yeah.
holy shit!" Like, and then the game thing happened, and like, but it was funny because, like you just said,
I've just always been very
you,
mellow.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like you know me, I'm not a bit like nowadays I'll get a drink
mm,
and hang out with people.
yeah,
But back then I was very jaded
mm.
because of all of the things that had happened.
It takes time.
Um
It takes
like
time.
it took a lot for me to open up to people.
Mm.
And most of the time I was just very defensive and kind of like I don't trust nobody.
Yeah, and
Um
that's the way I think we both felt.
so like I had two or three friends growing up, but they did their thing,
Mm.
and half the time I didn't get invited to things, so I was just like, that's fine.
Same.
So I just kind of
I
made
got the pity invites because like, oh,
my
invite
own
Ali.
person.
Yeah, invite Ali because
And I always grew up reading books, so I was just kind of very
mm,
much like that little bookworm. So I, I don't know, I've just never been like super like outside and hanging out,
Yeah,
and
that was one thing my
I don't
parents
do
really
partying, I
pushed.
don't do clubs, I don't like even in college, people be like, let's go get drinks. And I get like one drink and I
Yeah,
drink it for like an hour and then it would start to get loud and I'm like, okay, I gotta go.
yeah, yeah.
I can't do this no more. I gotta go.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I said, people look at me now and they're like, God, you play games and you're outdoorsy and you do all. I'm like, dude, I like to live a life. I like to stay in shape because if you don't keep your body in shape, you can
Well,
fucking
when I was growing up, I wasn't very girly. I could show you pictures. Good Lord, I was a tomboy. I just owned that whole like people don't like me, so I'm gonna give them a reason to think I'm weird.
right.
Um, and then in college, I started to get a little girly, but I was in my weird hot topic phase, and oh boy. So when you guys met me in Florida,
Mm,
this is the girliest I've ever been. Like a
mm.
little bit of makeup, the clothes, stuff like that. Like my mom was like, "Oh my God, you've changed so much in 6 years."
Well,
And,
you're finding yourself, and I think that
yeah. But
it takes
I do
time.
like that. I do like that balance where I'm like, I'm girly, but I like video games, but I'm also not an e-girl
No,
because
yeah.
I refuse to cross that line on Twitch
Mm.
where it's just like
I've
the
got
bazong is
I've got
out
two
and
friends that are like,
super
hey, so why
skinny
don't
and like
you?
20 layers of makeup. I'm just
Hmm.
like, nah, I can't. I
There
can't.
was an article that popped up the other day about the girls that are hot tub streamers.
Oh god.
Gamers? Yeah, and it was
Yes.
Alana, if you guys know who it is, Alana Pierce is her name. She used to be IGN, now she's working for Sony
Hmm.
Santa Monica. And apparently she got blasted the other day on Twitter and everybody fucking defended her, thank God. The Sony Santa Monica head of God of War
Yeah.
fucking jumped on and ripped everybody a fucking new one. He was like, you
Oh my god.
motherfuckers, don't ever fucking go after any of my team. I'm like, but she brought it up in her article and I was following her because it popped up in my open mind feed. And I'm like, really, what the fuck is this? Because I'm Ollie. I have so many other things going on that I'm like, I don't know what way to go. I got this to learn and that to learn.
Yeah.
So, I felt bad. I was like, why do people need to be, especially this stupid thing on Facebook now? It's like a Streamlabs popped up and this girl with her fucking thing down, and it's like you could stream to
Yeah.
multiple platforms, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that already, but I want to keep them like one platform. That's fine. She's got her fucking short kit shows, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not really interested. That's fine. But I can see why girls do it because
Yeah, I
fucking
mean,
streams turn
I
into
do
money.
understand. I do
It's
understand
yeah,
that,
it's called I
sometimes
can pay rent.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do to
Yeah,
get the views. I'm just
and
not comfortable because I've seen how far some people can take
yeah,
it.
and it gets pretty fucking bad. There was somebody I worked with that
Oh,
I found her
I know a
shit.
girl who actually freaked out because some dude literally paid online on one of those websites to look up this girl's information.
Yeah, you're
And
not.
he just like ended up messaging her on Discord like, "Hey, so I know you said your name is like your first name is this and it's a rare first name. Is this your info?" Just like casually posted her info to her on Discord and she just was like, "No, no, that's not me." And she was lying, but she just freaked out because she was like, "How the
Anybody can find
hell?"
out anything now. I got a cousin who works for the FBI, and she's like, my cousin works for the FBI. Can't really say much what she does, but yeah, she's like, do you think you're safe? You're not.
Oh god, no, no.
So
But
he
yeah,
told
I was
me,
just like, "Oh, I don't ever want to be that streamer where people actually like
no,
want
and
to
the
find
thing
out
is,
my details."
you should do something you love, and you
And not
know,
have to worry about that.
yeah, it's like, dude, fucking love me because I love what I'm doing, and it's like you're
Yeah.
here because you love the topics I'm speaking of,
Yeah.
what have you, So it's like
Yeah.
if somebody told me that, like, why don't you do more first person shooters? I'm like, I like mixture of shit to make myself happy. I know it's all mental for me. It's me meant, keep the mind fucking sound, and happy because
Yeah.
I've talked about my depression and shit that I've gone through, and I've many people have hit me up back and said, dude, what you spoke about is how I felt. How you got out of it,
Mhm.
I'm proud of you because I don't know how to find the door. I don't know how to walk, get out of hell and get the hell out. And first thing you got to do is love yourself. And in gaming has always been that part of me. And
Gaming definitely like kept me from being too depressed
mhm,
and just kind of like using my brain because I do like reading books, but sometimes games were books for me,
mhm. Well,
like interactive
they
books.
become that interactive thing of okay, my whole body's into it. I'm using my hands, I'm using my hearing, I'm using my eyes. Okay,
You're using your
What's that
brain.
over there? Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gets you. I mean, books are great. I do a lot of Audible. and I'll bring up a few books. We'll bring more books up in the podcast in the future for you guys because
Hooray.
play Ready Player One. I know Dell likes to read. I do a lot of audiobooks because my
Yep.
reading comprehension is kind of weird, and I don't have dyslexia, but it's kind of easy for me to listen to something and then gather it really quickly.
Okay.
My brain works fucking weird. I can read, but I'm getting very bored of reading. I like stuff being read to me quicker. It's weird. Even my Kindle's like reading it to me. And I'm like, oh, that's much better.
I can't be doing too many things if I'm listening to an audiobook because I get very easily distracted. But also I will zone out to audiobooks sometimes. So
Dude,
it's
Will
a
Wheaton.
weird
Will
50-50.
Wheaton is fucking coming in the ears.
Ooh.
He is amazing. He is amazing at Ready Player One. If you guys haven't listened to Ready Player One, buy it. He is the best. And he paints the picture so well that I literally had to like chill for a couple of days. And I was like, all right, I got Ready Player Two. I get it free off, Amazon thing. And my bro Pernesco was like, he got, I don't know if you guys know what Loot Crate is. My buddy got that, and he was like, oh, Ready Player One came out. I'm like, what's that about? And he's like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, well, I might like that. And he's like, you want to borrow a copy? And I'm like, no, I really have a hard time reading, and I'll probably like forget it. And he's like, I will fucking download you the audiobook. And it was already out. So he ended up like, touring it. I put up my iPod,
Yeah.
listen to it on the bus, and I'm like, oh, so good. And then number two came out, and I'm like, Ernasco, number two's coming out. He's like, oh, that's great. Now who is it? I'm like, oh. He's like, you all right over there? I'm like, so happy. He's like,
why? I
um,
don't know.
I don't know. It's me, I'm Ollie. I don't know who else to be. I've come to terms with who I am, which I've
Fair
spoken
enough.
about many times. But that's what this podcast is about, to make you guys feel comfortable with who you fucking are. We accept everybody who comes in, and we don't judge. So
Yeah.
it's taken us a while to love who fucking we are, and that's the biggest flipping thing, man. To love your damn self, because people will judge you no matter what the fuck we do. So you might as well enjoy your life while you're here. You know, people
Yeah.
always look at me and go, hey, "You play games?" It's like, yeah, I fucking do. I'm enjoying it. But then they come back and they're like, "Hey, what game is good right now?" Well, fucking hell, what do you like? You got RPG, you've got fucking first person, you've got this, you've got that. What do you like?
Yeah.
And most people don't even know. They're like, what console is that actually? And I was playing, I think,
And even now it's evolved. Like you can say a genre and gaming's evolved so much that like for me at least, like I think RPGs, I think old school Final Fantasy and stuff like that. And now there's like action RPGs and things like that that
mhm.
I don't even realize it's an RPG game until I see like the actual rating and I'm like,
That's
oh, this is an RPG.
that
Well,
was Death Stranding for me, because everybody's like, that was Death Stranding. I'm like I said, it's like Amazon Prime, but with a fucking
yeah,
story, and the story was so deep. Um, that I was like, wow, you have to like go do things, and if you're not gonna like, you gotta watch the weather and effects and all this shit was going. I didn't realize how. I was telling June one day, one of the guys that we used to work with,
yeah,
telling him about it. And I'm like, hey man, like the game, like it's live, it's actually online. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I was making this path, and I didn't know how to get up these stupid rocks because it's all motion control. It's like a walking simulator. But I made this path, and the next day I walked into the game, the path was built. He's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. And somebody put me a thank you note. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
oh
And
my gosh,
I
yep.
was like, God damn it. I was like, damn, Hideo, what the fuck did you do? And Hideo Kojima being Hideo Kojima, like wrote in Japanese, he was like, what do you guys think of Death Stranding? And
Yep.
it got meta score of whatever, but the games, once you play it, you're like, I understand what you're fucking saying now. So
Yep.
it's hard to explain, like all these new genres, and you have subgenres, and then indie games of like them trying to get off the ground and do what they got to do. And I think the first game that we jammed on was the first game I ended up meeting Del Marie was like A Way Out. I was like, does anybody want to play this game? Nobody wants to play, and it's called A Way Out, and you don't have to buy a copy of it. And somebody's like, wait, what? Me, and Del's like, fuck you, me, and I'm like, let's do it. And so she ended up downloading, and I'm like, I don't know what this game is. I know the premise, but like, and that's how Brothers came to be. Where I was like, oh, this is this bench, and she's like, motherfucker, that bench actually is from a game called fucking Brothers. So you better sit back and fucking relax. And we will play it again. We did stream it, but her voice wasn't captured through the
Yep.
party thing, and she was saying some outlandish shit that I was like,
Oh, but that was A Way Out.
and I was like, the end of it. we ended up playing it for 8 hours, fucking 8 hours straight. We didn't stop one night.
Oh
We
my
just
God,
played all the way
that's true.
through.
We did. There
And
was
I
this
was like,
one
hey, do you
day
want to
where
go
I
to?
was like, "No, I'm committed. We're done. We're finishing."
And I'm like, hey, do you want to go? And she's like, no, potty break. We'll go and I'll have to go walk the dog. And she's like, can you hold on? I'm like, yeah. So we had to go walk Luna, and I had to use the bathroom. She's like, okay, get something to eat. We're gonna come back and we're just playing through it. Wish the chat was there because you can hear me talking. So you'll go on YouTube, don't see it, but the end of it was like, I'm like, she's like, motherfucker. And I'm like, I don't want to spoil the end of it, but something happens. If you did play the game, you already know. But yeah, she fucking flipped. I've never seen a girl get so fucking angry and kick my ass in a matter of 3 seconds. It was like, and I'm fucking like landing, and she's like, motherfucker, motherfucker, and I'm
I
like,
really was
sorry,
mad.
sorry.
I was very mad. It was.
It
I
was
wasn't
so.
even mad at you. I was just mad at the character, and I was just like, I cannot believe.
And the new game that we got done playing is It Takes Two. I still have a few trophies to play on that one, but that game was fucking outstanding, outstanding every step of the way. And that one wasn't from the same developer, but Dell was like, dude, you gotta play Brothers next. So I played Brothers. That's when the Spider Lady came to come out stuff because she was like, how'd it go? I'm like, Spider, you're okay.
You were
But
very upset.
with that one,
Spider.
I kind of was expecting it, but at the same time, I was like, what the fuck? And I saw the spider webs, and I'm like, oh, it's gotta be a fucking spider. There was Mass Effect 3 when my fucking console. I ended up getting Mass Effect 3 immediately because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. And even my tattoo here has fucking my own call sign on it with N5 instead of N7. And I've actually got to talk to Mark Mir, who's the voice actor of Commander Shepard, who has written me happy birthday and stuff like that. He's a real sweetheart of a guy. Got to meet him here in Orlando. Took a photo with him without even knowing it. He does a lot of cosplay. He plays a lot of D&D. Had his mask on. He does a lot of fucking characters. And my buddy who I took a photo with, he was like, you have no idea who that is, do you? I'm like, he's like, Mark Mir, Commander Shepard. I'm like, he's like, you're welcome. I'm like, that's. So the next day, we ended up going to see a show, which he did call one show called One Man Walking Dead, and me and my friend Dana ended up going checking him out. She had no who the fuck idea who he was. She had no idea what Walking Dead was. So I'm like, I'll pay for your ticket. Let's just go. And I'm in the front with my feet up on the stage, and he's like, okay. So his voice sounds like Commander Shepard. I'm like, calm down, you fucking pussy. Like, you don't know. He's Commander Shepard. He's my favorite on the Citadel. Yeah, fucking. There was a spider web though, and the game like crashed in my headphones. I was running Turtle Beaches, which are like surround sound headphones. I screamed like a little bitch. There's the story. I was like,
you would.
I would, yeah. Oh, the way it sounded was fucking horrible because I'm like, there's spiders in the game, which are the arachni, and I'm like, they're not as spidery. So I made it through. Made it through.
Huzzah.
Yeah. Is there any game that made you fucking scream?
Like actually scream?
Like, yeah, like horror.
That I played? No. That I've watched being played? Yes.
Oh, you guys, she doesn't. She's like, I'll watch you play Insomnia, but I won't play it.
Listen, there's a lot of games that have really great lore, but I know my limits, and I know there's just games that I will be frustrated with, will not play, or just not worth it. And
we still got to make our list of like games that
I don't want to get mad, so I'm like, nope, not gonna do it.
I think the only game that really made me upset, like I really had to like stop playing for a couple days and go back to, was Arkham Knight because I was playing to get all the fucking trophies. I'm a huge Batman fan, and I just got Kevin Conroy's autograph. I didn't ask him to write "I am Batman." Apparently, he just wrote that for me. I didn't even. I just said, "It's like, what do you want him to say?" And I'm like, "Just write Ali." But I didn't. Ali, I'm Batman. I'm like, oh shit. Which I thought I wasn't gonna get it for like a few months because they text me and they're like, "Hey, he's not signing it yet, whatever." And then he signed it, and I'm like, "Yay!" But Arkham was the only fucking game that I had to stop because the levels on that motherfucker were rough, and I'm like, God, you had to like go to these certain cities and blow the damn tanks up, and it was rough because I ended up getting the Nightfall Protocol ending, and I'm like, I want the Nightfall Protocol, which is like the best ending for the game. It's Arkham. I wanted to finish it up because I'm a huge Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill fan, and the series was great, no matter what anybody says. Like I liked all of them. I don't think I've ever hated a game where I'm like, this fucking game. I don't think I've ever have. I'm still trying to figure out a game I didn't like. I can't think of one that I threw away. I was like, this is a waste of fucking money. Because I've been there. I bought a few games that my brother, we ended up buying a few games together and never fucking played. We're still sitting in the wrapper till this day, Matthew.
Oh
fucking
my
ass,
god.
fucking asshole. Like, hey, let's go buy this game and we'll play tonight. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, get it all ready. I'm like, hey, what? Like, oh man, I gotta work in the morning. I'm like, you just made me spend $60 I didn't have to play this. Never played it. Never played it.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't forgive me for the one game that I told him to buy, and he had to buy a 60 gig hard drive for his
I have a
console.
list of games that I've bought and I never played.
He
Like
does.
I actually never touched, and I feel horrible about that.
We'll get through them on this podcast. This is the goal. This is the goal because Sheila just
Also
had that.
games where I'll like install them and not play them for months, and then come back to it like a year later.
That's why I love you to death. At the same time, guys, she'll like text me and she's like, "Hey, Holly, sale going on. Buy that." I'm like, "Okay, when are we gonna play it? We'll find a day." She's working. She's working. I'm like, "Hey, busy?" And she's like, "We got to do a let's play." And I'm like, "Okay. What time?" Don't. She'll call me like, "Nick, sorry, fell asleep. Love you," but I'm like,
I literally pass out doing things
she's
all
like,
the time.
she's like,
This is
"Love
my
you," but
life.
then she's like, "Hey, what's going on tonight?" I'm like,
Or
"Hey,
like anytime I make plans with you, like 20 things come up and I
yeah,
have to do them. And
it
I'm just like,
does."
I'll tell you like, hey, at this time we're gonna do it. And then like somebody asked me to do 20 things and I'm like,
Mhm.
I have plans.
Like the thing with the podcast, like I was trying to tell her, like she's like, it's been rough getting this all set up because like I had to jump on it quickly because running a business too and knowing how it's all done now, like if you don't jump on it, it never gets started. And it's not to be rude to Dell. It's just like, oh my god, like if I don't fucking get the name taken and this taken, because Dell had we had a mental breakdown the other day. And I'll be honest about it. We were doing the logo, and Dell's like, you know what, dude, just do your fucking thing. And I'm like, did I do wrong?
I wasn't even mad. I was just like, listen, I just want this logo done. Just choose a damn logo.
I
I'm
was like,
done.
I was
I'm out of it.
I was
I'm
playing
like, I
Last of
just
Us
I'm
on
tired.
the. I was playing Last of
Things
Us too.
keep getting changed that I
Well,
didn't realize we were gonna change. And I'm just like,
no. Well, the thing is,
stop.
I told Dell very honestly, I'm like, this is a 50-50 deal. Like, let's collab. Like, it's always gonna be collab. Let's collab because that's how it's gonna be the best it's gonna fucking be. And she's like, it's your thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's first and foremost not my thing. I got my own thing on this side. That's why I told everybody, hey, vote. And they did. They're like, not on yours. Go on another one. Let us enjoy both. So I was like, cool, I'll do that. But if you don't get it started, it never gets done because I've had friends who started real businesses. They get to month one and then they just fucking collapse. And I go, hey man, how did it go? Do you need me to promote for you? Do you need me to do this? And they're like, oh, we went under. I'm like, what happened? They're like, yeah, it just didn't work. I have a one friend who spent about $20,000 on this podcast. I won't name his name. Went out and bought Yeti mics, went out and bought a fucking studio pad, all this shit, bought a server. Oh, he thought this was gonna be the big hurrah. And then he was like, hey man, like, yeah, I'm now almost 20 grand in debt. I'm like, from what? He's like, yeah, I rented out a studio and shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm recording it on a fucking computer and that's how it's done. He's like, yeah, no one told me that. I'm like, you could just ask questions like I did. I was a pussy to start a podcast, and now I'm on almost episode 100 of my other podcast. So I really hope this podcast turns into something because I told Dell, it's like, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, we try. But it's gonna go. I got a good feeling about it. I keep telling them, like, you're gonna love what we got coming because there's so much awesome shit that we do that people might like. We've got books, we've got this, we've got that, we got this. And it gives me another outlet to speak about my geeky fucking side because people are like, you're a nerd. I'm like, not as much as her.
Fair.
Because you're gonna fucking school me. This is gonna be hard because you're gonna be like, actually, in chapter number 9.
Well, to be fair, I know some games. I don't know all games. Like,
Which it's gonna be a learning process for me because
I've got my limits. There are certain genres that I don't necessarily touch or I'm just starting to dabble into.
Yeah, which I can't wait to like deep dive because like, I wish I was in the Final Fantasy. I wanted to play them, but we couldn't afford them. So a friend of mine bought me a couple of them, and then I jumped on them, and then I was like, how do I play this RPG? And he's like, okay, dude, you gotta do this. You can't button mash, and you gotta think about it. think you gotta go do this
Yeah.
and this. And I'm like, okay, God loves Fable, love fucking Fable. My brother ended up making me play Fable. Loved the shit out of that one. That was great. And then Mass Effect came out, and I got that from him at Blockbuster, which was a thing. And then got into Mass Effect 2, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing. So you got to go rank up your character and do this. And he's like, aha. Never got into WoW, sadly. Got a computer, never got into WoW. Wanted to get into Star Wars, Old Republic, and then my brother played with me. Let me borrow the credit card. I ended up buying a new laptop and played that with him for a little bit. And then he just skipped the fucking story. So I'm like, oh, I wanted to enjoy the character. I made the character. And he's like, yeah, fuck it. We already know where they're going. We're going to beat this character and do this character. So, like I said, I'll be schooled on some episodes. She'll school me. I'll school her. But it's going to be a big learning process. We want to make sure everybody feels welcome and loved here because it's okay not to know every fucking genre and everything, that is because it's a learning process. And there's going to be, I'll do some VR with you guys, and I got a Oculus, so we'll be doing some VR sculpting and stuff like that on the channel. And for some people that are like, what's VR like? You'll see, I'll discuss what that's like because it's changing a lot of people that don't like to play with others because you have to really chat. Fun question for you. What was that? What was party chat like for you when you first experienced it?
Like in games?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, thankfully I didn't have that weird, horrible experience until much later.
Did you have the weird, oh my God, it's a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not as often. I've
Okay.
only had that one like 2 or 3 times because I don't generally play games that are like boy centric.
Right.
So I don't play Call of Duty. I don't play what is it? Grand Theft Auto. I don't know why I was going to call it Fast and Furious. That's how much I don't like it.
I do want you to watch Make Love Not War. I do want to do a Let's Watch with her for South Park. She's like, I don't want South Park. I'm like, you have to watch that one episode. Let's do a Let's Watch because it's the hilarious fucking thing I'll ever watch in my life. In your life.
My God.
So we'll do a Let's Watch because I told everybody I was like, you just gotta watch that at least once. It's the guy's trying to play World of Warcraft, so it's hilarious. It's very accurate. It's very accurate.
I've very rarely gotten that whole it's a girl. I was lucky. The first time I got that whole it's a girl thing, it was a positive thing because that's when I was playing DC Universe Online, which wasn't a very popular game.
No, not at all. And now
when I hopped on it, it wasn't like it was okay, but it wasn't huge. I think I got in on the tail end of the game.
Yeah.
But I remember that's when I started dabbling in that whole like online gaming community thing, and I had a headset, and it wasn't a great headset, but you know what, whatever. It's a headset. And I lucked out because I was doing solo missions, and like somebody was in proximity chat, and they were like, "Hey, you need any help on this mission?" And I was like, "Actually, yeah. Would you mind? Because my character is kind of like a buffer.
Yeah.
I'm not great at buffing because I'm still not at a level." And
yeah, I play more of a tank.
They immediately were like, "Oh, you're a girl," and I thought, "Oh no, here it comes." And I swear to God, it was just so funny because they went, "Hold up, stay right here. I'm gonna go get my league," and I'm like, "Oh." So I stood there and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get made fun of because I'm not good at this game, but I've only started this game like 2 weeks ago. I'm still learning the ropes, you know."
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have time. I'm like in college all the time.
Right.
So he brings like a party of people and he's like, "Oh, you should join our guild." And I'm like, "Okay." And I joined the guild and it's just all these dudes who go, "Hi." And I'm like, "Hello." And they're like, "Oh, it is a girl. That's so cool." And they just start going, "Here, here, here." And they threw all this like legit good armor at me and all these like buff ups and stuff. And they're like, "Do you mind being our buffer? Because like we need somebody to do buffs and heals." And I was like, "Listen, if you can carry my ass until I level up real hard, yeah, I'll just stand around and do that."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, we'll carry you." Like,
they'll drag you, they'll pull you through. They need heals,
And they literally they like carried me basically. They were like, "No, you just gotta focus on staying in the middle of us and healing,
and just keeping us alive."
And they would give me armor. They would give me this. They'd be like, "Oh, do you want to do this mission?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't have the DLC for that." Boom, DLC. And I wasn't even like asking for, I I wasn't even asking for it. I wasn't one of those girls who was just like, oh my god, I would love this DLC, but like I don't have the money. Like I never became that girl. And they were just like, oh, she doesn't have the DLC for this mission. Hold up, hold up. We're gonna buy you the DLC. And they bought me like 3 or 4 DLCs.
All right
So
on.
I could do the
Yeah,
missions with
because
them.
like
Because they were like, we need the
Marvel
healer.
Online was fucking expensive for the packs. It was like
Yeah.
it's
And
like
they were
30
like,
bucks.
we need our healer for this. So I was
Yeah,
like, okay, cool. So it was really sweet. I still have 2 people from that community that I have on my Facebook that I actually still talk to from that game.
oh,
Funny enough. But then my negative interaction started on Little Big Planet.
re-
Little Big Planet 3. But was it 2 or 3? I think it was 2. 2.
it must have been two because
When
I had
2
a
was
lot
the
of
thing.
I had a
Well,
lot
no,
of
I had Little Big Planet 3 problems as well. But
I didn't
that
do
was
much
like,
on three we didn't play much because fucking once I played with Pernesco, it was so fucking broken that he was like, fuck, I'm gonna play this game.
oh no, I was playing like when it got toxic in 3 because it wasn't that bad in 3
Mm.
until it went from PS3 to PS4.
Mm.
And then the PS4 gen kind of, well, yeah, PS4 gen kind of mutilated it. For
Oh,
me,
why? I
like
don't know why they
I
fucking
stopped playing it after a while because the online community became
toxic.
basically GTA, which was
Yeah,
little
yeah,
kids
squeakers and
screaming
yeah.
in your ear,
That's why I love
going,
Party Chat. We could just lock them
hurry
out.
up, move this way. Oh my God. And then they'd be like cussing. And I
Yeah,
just would keep muted. And then whenever I would actually talk, I'd be like, listen, I just want to get this one thing up here. Oh my God. Are you an adult? Why are you playing video? Shouldn't you be working? And I'd be like, shouldn't you be probably drinking a bottle and watching SpongeBob? Like, shut up.
yeah, right.
So
Yeah, I
like it
never.
just ruined that for me. And I remember watching videos and watching friends play GTA, and I'd hear these kids and I'd just be like, what is happening?
Yeah, we GTA for me is it's fun because we do a lot of custom play and I do it. I just sometimes guys I'll hop on GTA Online. I'll just drive. And they're like, what the fuck? Why? And I'm like, relaxing. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah. I just go in a private room and just drive. And they're like, are you shitting me? I'm like, I'll go to
Yeah.
the shooting range. I'll just. It's a game where I just kind of can play and just relax. And there's a lot. I like to race and shit, so I play a lot of the shooting stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
I love Call of Duty, but uh, I got COD done, as I call Call of Duty done, because I got tired of the packs, buying the map packs, and love zombies. I love playing out with my friends. I met a lot of awesome girl gamers that I played with. The few that I still play with, once in a blue moon, they have kids now, and one, unfortunately, her daughter has a
I've never
disability.
had luck with female gamers. Most
I,
of my friends have all been male gamers. Anytime I
yeah,
have female friends, they don't
yeah.
understand the gaming aspect of my
Well, it's
life.
rare.
And
It was
so
rare
they'll
that,
like indulge me
yeah,
in the sense that they'll watch me or they'll like listen to me,
yeah.
but I didn't really have, I mean, I got Rachel into very casual gaming, which
Mm.
for me is just like
Wow,
perfect,
yeah,
perfect win.
yeah.
I convinced her to get a Switch, and there are 2 or 3 games that she'll play, and she definitely did not like. Oh God, there was this game that I told her to get Spyro, like the remaster. She did not like it.
No, no, no way. No.
To be fair, I love it, but they needed to do an update where
Yeah, on some of the fuck.
the camera was a little more passive because it gives vertigo after a little while. Like I can
Yeah,
only play it in doses because I get
yeah,
vertigo.
yeah.
But also like they upped like the response time to the controls is just like a half a second lag, and it's noticeable for me.
Yeah, I went to
So like
ACG and
she
he
got
kept explaining
frustrated
that. Yeah,
because she's not used, like literally her first game was Animal Crossing.
yeah,
So you to jump from Animal Crossing
yeah.
to
Once you're dealing with a
Spyro,
Nintendo quality
yeah.
game, yeah, yeah. When you're going to a
But
third
like
party developer and you're
I
just
mean
like,
she gave it a try, and I
yeah,
appreciate that she did. And she actually, like, I remember hanging out with her one time and she was like, "Can you help me at this part?" And so I did it for her. She was like, "Thank you." But I remember her telling me a week later, she's like, "I couldn't do it. I returned it and I got a different game." And I'm like, "Listen, that's okay.
understandable. Yeah, like he
Sometimes
to each his
you
own.
just you
Yeah,
can't." And I think she got Lego Harry Potter, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, the Lego ones are always been. I can't wait to play some of those with you because my nephew was like, that's the first game he played, and the controller would always go to
do
my
not
hands
know
in the
the
family because everybody's like, oh, he knows how to play. I'm like,
you
oh,
do
I don't
not
know how to
know the
play.
hours that I spent getting Lego Marvel 2, all of the characters
Oh,
and
I
like the
imagine.
trope.
No,
Like,
it's a.
listen, I spent so many. The one thing I hate about Lego Marvel 2 is the Spider-Man races where you have to do the thwip thwips in the air and you have to go through these
Oh, that's
rings
fucking.
in a timer.
That's Spider Man
And
right now.
sometimes the buttons will not respond the way it
Mm-hmm.
needs to, and so you'll
Mm-hmm.
swing away from the circle, or like he'll just
That's
kind of
literally
hover
Spider Man
or
right
like
now on
climb the web
PS5.
instead of swing it, and you're just like, sir, I need you to do the one
Yeah.
thing that you're not doing.
Sometimes you gotta put the controller down and go, okay, is my fucking fingers or what?
I'm not
Gotta
ashamed to
break it.
say that I did the same thing that I did with you in A Way Out, where I just looked at my brother and I said, please do this for me. I can't handle this right now.
Yeah. Well, the thing, yeah. Well, yeah, we did It Takes Two, and literally I said, hey, let's go back and get the gym. And Dell was like, had a great time. We gotta do this fucking again. I said, let's go to the gym. And she goes, okay, we'll get the achievement. And we're discussing it. And we do this thing called Health Tower. I go on the video and try to find it because how else do you find trophies these days? Some of
Yeah.
them are hard, some of them are really hard to find. And we're doing it in Dell. We're literally live streaming it. She's on Twitch. I'm on YouTube on the OMI channel. And she's like, 1.5 fucking hours of you just trying. And she's like,
Literally
she,
me
she
one
gets up,
one
she
and a
gets
half
up there and
hours
she's
of
like,
me just sitting there waiting for you to
oh
get this
god, this is the worst fucking part. So Dell's like, hey, I'm gonna go take a shower. Love you. Have a good night. And I'm like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, turn PlayStation off. I'm like a little bummed. And again, we get back to has every game ever give me a nightmare? No, not really. And I just said Mafia. Mafia has given me the, oh my god, how do I get through this level? My brain goes into overdrive when I sleep because I have a little bit of ADD. And my friends all say I have ADD.
Mm.
And I don't know. My mom says I don't have it. Then a doctor's like, you have a very engineer brain. I'm like, what's it mean? He's like, you can look at something and then engineer it. I'm like, oh. He's like, you don't see blank, do you? I said, no, that's a wall. He goes, what can go on the wall? I said, hmm. He goes, imagine it. And I started imagining things, and he goes, you have a brain that can fucking build fast. And I'm like, don't know that. He's like, it's not a disability. It's just something really neat that you can do. Um, so I get off, and I'm like, hey man, have a good night, whatever. And Dell's doing her thing.
I went to sleep. I literally went to sleep after that.
Comes the worst part.
I was just like, I need to
So
change and take a shower and go to
So
bed.
I have a PS5. I'm not trying to brag to anyone. I put money away for
I'm so behind.
I got a PS5 and I was
I'm
going to
gonna
get
be behind for a little while too.
yeah, it's with the way that this shit is. And then I ended up going to
Yeah.
eBay. I ended up
I
overpaying
mean, that and
by
money, I can't right now.
no, and I feel you.
I have other priorities,
And I ended up
like
paying
getting
like
out.
40 bucks over. We'll talk about that later. uh, um,
I still
so I
think
get
you're
on. I charge
silly
the
for that.
controller. Charge the controller. End up logging in locally to the game because it's a co-op. Log in, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do this. So I log in, get pow. I literally hop on both controllers with my fingers, plink them down. They fucking pop the tower up. Now I spent about maybe 30, 40 minutes, and I find out, I go, you know what? I didn't play as the girl, so let me play as a Dell. I can hear Dell telling her brother she has more of a flop. And I'm like, well,
Mhm.
my guy's more fucking heavy. So my brain started
Yeah.
going, dude, it's 2 in the morning. I'm like, it's 2 in the morning. You're gonna fucking do this. Because my brain started going, you're gonna have a fucking nightmare about this. So don't fucking, you're gonna be engineering. And I started slowing down my heart, literally started doing yoga breathing, like slow the heart rate down, checking my watch, like it was slowing down my heart rate. I get up there, guys, I get it. Like, cool. And I'm like, I turned fucking that, and I'm like, cool. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You got so excited.
I'm like, did it go in my fucking account? I'm like, tap the PS button. Nope. And I'm like, let's check. Let's make sure the trophy popped up because I had this problem with The Last of Us about a month ago. The internet clicked out for a quick minute. We had an internet drop, and I ended up getting 3 trophies for, I think, finding the workbench in Last of Us or whatever, and something else. It's hard to fucking find if you don't look for it. And I'm like, woo, got it. The PlayStation 5 now, like it'll pop up and then it will record it, but it didn't pop up on the PSN went. No, the PSN went down. Sorry, PSN went down for like an hour. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Probably maintenance. And I'm like, motherfucker, I gotta. And my stepdad's like, "You all right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, fucking shit, fucking yeah." He's like, but I'm trying to be calm. So yeah, I fucking get it. And I'm like, wait a minute. It went to the guest account. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I gotta fucking and I had to do it all over again.
Yep.
Ding,
Yep.
ding, and fucking ring. I finally got it. I knew the rhythm, and I'm like, did it finally go through? Ring. I'm like, oh. So I text the next day. I think it's Sunday, and Dell goes to church and does her thing. So I'm like, you know what? Let me not bother her,
Yep.
but let me fill her in. Let me tell her about the day I had.
You told me, and I was just like, wait.
She's like,
What?
it's
I
her
was like,
fucking reaction, and
oh,
I'm like,
you
I
did it. And you were
fucking.
like, yeah, but like I had to do it twice. I'm like, oh.
And I'm like,
But you know what? You should be proud. You did it twice.
I did it
I did it
twice,
0
and I
times.
didn't have to hand it to a friend or
I did it
whatever.
0 times. I just got frustrated and gave it to my brother and said,
Yeah, she's
do
like,
it.
hey, my brother's gonna come in. And he seems like a cool cat. She's like, dude, he's just got his ADD is strong, so he can he can
Yep.
memorize patterns and shit. That's like my
It
friend
took him
Brownie.
it took him 3 tries.
Yeah, we
3
were like, you're
tries and
like,
he did it.
you guys can go into the it's in YouTube, so you'll see like the thing, and she's like, did you hear that? I'm like, watch. So my brother just went, "Ah!" And I'm like, oh, I didn't hear shit. We're talking about empanadas and shit. She's like, you should have heard that. "Ah!" And I put a little fun clip of us kind of making noises, and we were going back for a piggy bank achievement, and it was the funniest shit because Dell
I
had
knew
one.
something had that the piggy. I knew it, and you just were like,
Well,
"No,
like,
let's keep going."
no, I'm like, maybe. Well, you were like, oh, you put the piggy in and you break it. And I'm like, and I go back to like find the trophies. I'm like, ah.
Well, I didn't know you had to break it. I just was like, maybe I get an
Well, apparently
achievement
both of
for
us had to
putting
do
all
it.
the
Yeah,
coins in there.
yeah. Apparently both of us had to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Eh. And I did it, and then
Yeah.
nothing happened, and then you were
Well,
just like, "Let's go," and I'm like,
it's like
"Oh."
I keep telling. I tell Dell, and Dell got up the tower. And she's like, did you get the achievement? I'm like, no, because it doesn't work like that. Like we both have to go do it, one at a time to get
Yeah,
it. Yada yada yada. So
no.
yeah, and that really fucking blew my mind. I'm like, "What?" But I did it twice. I didn't have anybody help. Not that I'm blaming Dell. She was just like, fuck you do it. I mean, I wish I had somebody to be like, take controller. I mean,
Please take.
I'm the
Do it
only
for me.
child in the house, and my parents are like, they're not gamers, so it's like, you think, you think. I mean, the PS5 now apparently you can actually go into a thing and hand your friend a controller digitally, and they can do a level for you. You can actually have them go into your game and do your
I
game for
mean,
you.
PS4 is the same. You can
Yeah.
literally share the
Well,
controller
this
for
one's
a
a lot.
game.
This one's a lot quicker now. I didn't try it with Cornisco, but apparently I can log in and watch his game in a pop out, and I'm like, oh shit, I
Oh,
can watch you while you're fucking gaming. He's like, yeah. We tried it the other day, and I was watching his game because he's playing Miles
hmm.
Morales, and I want to play Miles Morales, but I'm busy playing other shit. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
my brother has it, and he's like, "You can borrow it whenever." And I'm like, "Listen, I
Mama's
I
got
have too many
games.
things to do."
Yeah, you got a shit ton. Like we were going through our games list, the other day, and like I said, getting this whole podcast started.
I still haven't even finished my second playthrough on Twitch of Final Fantasy IX or the Last Doors last episode.
Hmm.
I'm like so behind on things I really need to finish.
Yeah, we need to like go down our like my
And
list.
people literally donated points for me to play Final Fantasy VIII and rage at it because
Uh,
people apparently like to hear me complain about how much I hate Final Fantasy VIII.
eh,
And I've only played one episode of it. Literally one episode. And
I'm now doing
this
the
was
Amazon
like
Prime stuff too.
I got all the points for it in February and I said, "Okay, when I move back to Puerto Rico, I'll start it." And
You
I
said that, yeah.
started
You're like,
one episode and then I just have not touched it again.
what's the reason? Do you know, or just not in the mood?
I literally hate that game.
Rage. Is that like your? Was that the one game you fucking like rage quit?
That is
Rage quit?
literally the one Final Fantasy that like anytime I even think about replaying it, I'm just like, no,
Maybe
it's not
let
worth
me
it.
share play it. And I'll play it and you can watch it.
I feel like I don't know if my viewers would be okay. I feel like my viewers would just look at me and be like, "That's cheating."
No, because you're right there
In
and you're
case
like,
they're not wrong, but
oh, not wrong, but it would be funny.
it would. It would be very
I barely play any Final Fantasy. I'm like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? They're like, all right, you do this fucking thing over here. You gotta do this fucking thing.
it's I mean I could help you out.
Yeah, basically.
But no, yeah, it's one of those
It's fine.
games.
It's fine.
It's that one Final Fantasy that like
Is it the
There are
story?
parts of it. There are parts of it that I like,
Mhm.
but the parts that I like do not outweigh the parts that I hate. And
Was
the
it was it
biggest
was it a rush game, or do you think not enough time?
God, this could be its own episode. This game could be its
I'm
literally
sure.
its own episode. Me just talking about all the shit about this game. Like literally, I remember I was sitting through. I think it was Final Fantasy VII. No, was it? It was 7 or 9. I was playing it, and I went on a tangent. And I went on a tangent on a friend's stream for like an hour and a half, and then he went into my stream like 2 days later, and he brought it back up, and I went on another like hour-long tangent, and he's just like, "I love listening to you hate on this game. Like, I love this game, but I like how much you hate it."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh, you just like to hear me
rant.
rage."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, you ranting is like the funniest thing, honestly."
No, it really is because like I giggle. I'm just like,
Uh,
'cause there's times when like It Takes Two where we're trying to figure something out, and
yeah,
Dell's like, just fucking go.
I'm
Go.
overthinking it, and
Yeah,
then it
we
just
both
hits me,
did,
and
you
I go,
know.
Ollie, Ollie, fucking just no, just step on this other button. Hold on. It's this power that we have. God dang it.
No, we were going through one thing, and it's like you would see me and you would see me do this thing, and then Dell's like, I'm gonna go. I gotta go get a fucking Chips Ahoy. She's eating a Chips Ahoy, and I'm like,
Listen,
drip, drip, drip.
I think the fact that I couldn't think that night was because I was hungry, and then I started eating, and then my brain just was like,
Well,
oh,
no, you're sitting there and you're going, okay, you fucked up so much. She goes, wait a minute, we have powers. And I'm like, we do. My power is this. Your power is this. And you'll see it on stream. You'll literally. It's a long fucking stream. But you'll see it.
we forgot that we had powers, and then
And
we just went,
she's like, hold on.
wait, I can do this one thing, and then I did it, and I was like,
And then there
that was
was
the whole thing we had to
the
do.
funniest thing she did so far, and I had me crying. Was there was this fucking stairway, and I'm going in this thing, and I'm running around. I'm like, wee! And she's like, "All right, you're by yourself." I'm like, "You got it." I'm like, "You have to come up too." And she's like, "I can't because if I move," I'm like, "We're sitting there for like probably 30 fucking minutes. This is 30 minutes in the stream, and we're fucking idiots. Like, we are not smart adults.
We're
We
just
need
like, I'm stuck here. What
we
do I
need
do?
adults. We
What
need
do I
adults to
do?
take our hand and bring us to things." We're sitting there, and she's like, "Ollie, I can't get up there." And I'm like, "Don't you have a warping power?" And she's like, "Fuck you." And she's like, "Just go right now." I went in, and she's like, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're the warping power. I have a thing power." And she's like, "Just go, just go." And then there was the fire sequence. We had to fucking spin the stairs. I had to slow it down and find the jump with that. We're like, figure that out for a second. So if you watch the stream, you fuckers gonna be like, dude, you fuckers are stupid. Which, to be fair, we are. I mean, I'm nothing intelligent. She's got a degree.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't have a degree. So
Listen, my degree has nothing to do with half of what I do. I mean, it's a helpful degree when I'm judging the story of a game.
Yeah.
Because you know me, I love my storyline games.
Yeah, and I
love
took.
games that have
It's funny what I
a
took. I
story
took
that
in high
just
school.
like pulls me in. But that was my complaint with Last of Us too. It was a good game, but there were holes in the way it was written that I'm like, it
Yeah.
could have been done better.
Yeah, and Neil, like I said before, Neil brought all that shit up, and
Yeah.
they said why they did it. I'll put the podcast link to that
Yeah.
because they're really fucking. And the Abby, the character, I looked at her body structure. I'm like, oh, she's fucking built like a fucking ox. And then you
Yeah.
look at her actually, and it's like not actually what she looks like. I'm like, oh wow. So they really
Yeah.
played her off as this.
Yeah.
But you know, it's fucking
But
blast.
like running back to Final Fantasy VIII real quick.
Yeah.
There's where do I begin?
Oh.
So I know that when 7 came out, it was just like this big thing, you know. It got really popular. It's still a classic. I'm not saying it's not good, but like it's definitely gotten a little weird with the test of time. And more on that in a different podcast because
Yeah.
I will say so far, because I have not finished 7R. The 7 remake, I've not finished it.
Really?
I still need to keep streaming it. But the reason I haven't finished it is it's not grabbing me in the way the original does in terms of like story and gameplay. I was expecting old school I did not get old school, and I think that's part of what's
You think
kind of
the nostalgia kind of dead?
blocking me.
Yeah, nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't look at this game and go, "Oh my God, my favorite characters are back,"
Yeah, they're up. They're
and
upgraded.
seeing the
They're
voices and
polished.
stuff like I just kind of went Tifa, and then everything else has just kind of been like, eh, and I've gotten really bored with it
Do
so
you
far,
think
which I
you
hate admitting that I'm actually bored with it because I know a lot of people love
did
it.
you over expect or just under expect things?
I think I did what I normally try not to do with the game, which is I definitely had expectations
Hmm.
that were not met,
That was me
and
with Mass Effect 3 because the Mass
and
Effect
I
3
told
ending was like
myself,
that shit.
I had told myself, I said, go in without any
Any
kind of
expectation.
expectation. And and I did in a way kind of go in and say, like, the bar is low. The bar is low for this. Let's see what happens. And I think I think so far it's the way certain characters interact and the dialogue that was chosen that's just
Hmm.
kind of making me I
Was
can't
it the way it
connect.
was said? Maybe they said it in a different inflection, or
It it's certain characters that they wanted to expand on,
hmm. So
like Avalanche. I
they
was
wanted
like,
to try
yes, I
something
want to
new,
learn more about Avalanche. I want to actually get attached to these characters.
right?
And then I just I did not connect with them very well.
Hmm.
It it was not the way I expected. I'm very uncomfortable with a lot of scenes in this game. Like straight up, I will be watching and all these female characters, the way they throw themselves at Cloud,
Like
I
why?
am very discomforted
Yeah,
with the dialogue choices. Like I'll sit there and I'll watch it and I'll be like, no wonder he doesn't want any of these people to touch him. Like I'd be extremely uncomfortable
yeah. I
too.
wouldn't want somebody to throw themselves at me like that.
Um, but a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just the way, Asian games are made and Asian culture. And I guess there is that sort of
Yeah, they're
like
a little bit
you gotta kind
more.
of think of it like
Yeah,
it's a cultural thing, but also I'm just like, I don't like that.
no, and well, it's weird
um,
becoming from an Asian audience to a Western audience. And I remember one director from Asia or from Japan was saying the same thing. He was like, the way we wanted to say it here, we couldn't really translate it
yeah,
over to US. And he's like,
yeah.
same thing with Italy and then Dubai and whatever. I'm like, never knew that. He was like, no. He's like, here, and they were showing a scene. I forget what game it is, if I can find it, I guess. But he was explaining the scene that he had to shoot. It took about a month to shoot it,
Hmm.
and the Asian way is this, and the Western way is this. This isn't why all the
Yeah,
Westerners like it this way. And I'm like, huh, So I understand. It's really with Final Fantasy. It's really weird what they want to pull out
yeah,
and put in.
and it's just it's not bad, but they keep riding on the coattails of the Lightning Saga, which was not a good saga,
Uh-huh.
and now Final Fantasy 15, which for me it was a major flop. I'm sorry to whoever out there loves this game. I know a few people personally who love this game. Um, but for me, it just I don't like where Final Fantasy is going, which is that they're going the path of the style and the storytelling of the online
Uh-huh.
14.
Uh-huh.
14 is the online one, I think.
Uh-huh.
The MMO one.
Yeah, I need to jump back into this.
I
I ended up
mm,
downloading. I think it was Final Fantasy,
like that
whatever, the
new
other
one
day.
that they've already given trailers for. Um, the 16th game. The style, it's just very boring to me. All the characters blend together. They all look the same.
Uh-huh.
When I saw the trailer, all I could think in my head was, "Oh, look, it's digital Game of Thrones." Like straight up, all the scenes look like Game of Thrones. The characters were having dialogues
I
like Game
think
of
it's
Thrones. I
becoming
was just like,
harder
I don't need
for writers to
I
like
don't need this.
let me differentiate a
Yeah.
story you haven't seen
Yeah.
before, because now you
Yeah.
have game shows on HBO like Game of Thrones, like you just said, like
Yeah.
this. How do we pull our audience back in? And it's that nostalgia that like they're killing us because it's like, no, go down this way. Or I know a lot
And
of
I
companies.
get that games have to evolve with their
Mm,
audiences, and nowadays kids want instant gratification. They don't want
yeah,
to
you
sit
don't want to
and
go on to the
read.
next game. Like
They
you
don't
don't
want to
want,
sit and
and
read
you
like
don't want a
50
cliffhanger.
bubbles of dialogue
I forget what
like
game
in the
had it.
the old school games.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like it just reaches a point where you lose your old audience in some aspects.
I forget what developer fucking told us to kind of fucking grow up. And I forget who it was. It was on not on Twitter, but he was on a con or, and he said, you know what? Because I'm fucking tired of it. He's like, I've been doing this shit for 30 something fucking years. You guys need to grow the fuck up. Either grow the fuck up or grow the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you're talking to an audience that made your fucking studio. At
And
the
I get
same.
that we need to evolve with them as well because they want to try new things. But if the new thing's not working out so great, please stop pushing it.
Yeah, and he kind of said it on something. I forget what game it was, but he said pretty much fuck you, grow the fuck up and grow the fuck out of it. And it's IGN and everybody ripped him a fucking new one. Like, hey, dude, we helped you build your studio. You were fucking not a AAA developer, and now you're fucking telling us to. We love what you did. Now you're breaking our fucking hearts by telling us, whatever. And
you're basically saying that our support means nothing at this
point.
point.
And it's like you're telling us, okay, we're doing all the DLC, and we're talking to you. And the writers felt differently. A lot of the writers stepped up and said, hey, man, this is not how we feel. We wanted, what do you want? Do you want A, B, or C? And then, like I said, back to Mass Effect 3 real quick, because I was a Mass Effect 3 fucking alcoholic. I played Mass Effect 2 twice. My brother was like, you can't play Mass Effect 1 without playing 2 without playing 1. And I fucking begged to play 1, so I played 1. It's a fucking hard game to play. I will buy Legacy because it came out. But then in notification, I remember EA Game BioWare fucking hit us all up who bought a copy of the game. A real fucking email, and they said, hey, tell us why you hate the ending. It was literally a class action lawsuit against BioWare. It went to almost a federal fucking level to where they had to change the ending. And even Mark Meter, Commander Shepard, had to speak up on it because he's worked with BioWare for quite a while, and he loves whatever they do, and he's a real sweetheart. But and they said, tell us why you hate the game. And I said, you know what? First of all, fuck you. First words were fuck you, literally a giant fuck you. And I explained my fuck you, and I said, the reason why I'm saying fuck you is because you made me get so developed in this game. You made me feel amazing. Yeah, I didn't get the ending I wanted. I let my expectations go where I wanted. The only thing I didn't like is my character left the world. He's gone. He's dead. And then I said, fuck you. And, the 3 games I played, I worked fucking ass off to get this. And then they changed the fucking ending, which has now become like, the holy trilogy of all these games that people are like, well, if I don't get the fucking way out, I'm going to fucking sue you or I'm going to fucking hate a developer. Which brings us back to what we were speaking about. Don't fucking hate on a developer. It's like they told the story they wanted to tell them, but, fuck us for not making a game or writing a script. It's like us doing a podcast. We're speaking our minds, which we were to do. And I think it's come to that time of like, for developers and the things we like, that it's like maybe we should grow up a little bit. We should love what we should love, but speak about it in our terms. I don't know. It's really hard nowadays to with all this social media and shit for developers to kind of tell their story and for us to kind of walk away and go, okay, that was what they wanted to tell us. So be it. Now that we can hop on Twitter and say, fuck you, fuck you for making that game. I mean, look at,
I feel like people shouldn't be mad about that. The whole, like, fuck you for making the game.
Yeah.
So, you know what? If you don't take a risk, there's no reward. And sometimes even when you take the risk, there's no reward, but you learn from it. And I feel like it's more polite to just hop on social media and be like, listen, this is why we didn't like it.
And then, so there's a lot of companies actually answering our questions.
Be like, listen, this is why I didn't like it.
Yeah, and BioWare really did that. They really said, they wrote me back. They wrote me back and a few others back. And they wrote us all, pretty much all of us back, and said, thank you for your input. We really, I forget who wrote me back, and it was one of the story developers. I forget who the fuck it was. And they read it. They're like, no, you have a right to say fuck it, fuck you, and you didn't mean it in a malicious way. You said it as a fan who loved the series, and you weren't a fan of the series at first, but your brother made you get into it, and this is why you loved it, and we're glad you went out and bought the DLC. Like, I fell for the GameStop trap, which was when I went and go pick up the game at GameStop. They said, oh, we're all sold out of whatever. If you want to scan the thing here, you'll get like the extra DLC for Jarvis, and who was the Prothean and shit, like who was, the guy in the game. And I fell for their fucking trap, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. It's the last game of the series. Scan the fucking code. I ended up spending like an extra $20-$30 in the game, which it gives the store credit, yada yada, because Del Maurice told, and I have friends that work for GameStop still, and I won't tell you who they are, but because they still work there, and I know all the ins and outs. But I got it. I went home and fucking played it, and I loved the fucking game. It took me about a week to beat it because I took my time with it, and I was like, this is why I loved it, and this is why I hated it. And Troy Baker is actually in that game. He plays Kai Lang. He's fucking amazing in that game. But yeah, and I told Bioware, and I'm glad Bioware had the balls to fucking write us back, and I'm sad they had to get sued, but in the end, that's why we had the long extended fucking endings because we didn't feel like they closed it out. Which was true.
Hmm.
They didn't close it out, and I had to go to bed thinking, oh my god, I just beat the game. There's fucking Buzz Aldrin's voice, who's an astronaut from NASA who went up and fucking the moon and who did his thing. And I was like, you know what? The only bad thing I feel like is Shepard's dead. I fell in love with Ashley. Could have fell in love with Liara. I thought, is that my child? Is that my kid that he's talking to? I was like, is Shepard's life still on? And everybody's like, that's what you thought about it? I was like, yeah. I was like, my guy's dead. I did what I wanted to do, but I feel okay. It was what it was. It wasn't going to be a good ending because you're going to die either way. You're dying. Your body's
Hmm.
failing. So are you coming to terms with that? And I came to terms with that. Most people, like I said, they want that gratification of a satisfying ending, and you're never going to get that with some games.
Not only that, people just want instant gratification in
Mm,
a game in general, like when
mm,
they're doing things.
mm,
And another thing that like I've noticed is a lot of games, not all, but a lot of games are very much geared towards that instant gratification. So you'll spend like $60 on a game that if you
mm.
just follow the linear path and don't do any of the
Side
side stuff,
quests, yeah.
it's like maybe a 30-hour game. And that's like what, a day and a half?
Not even now because like they've been dropping it now, and I
So
watch a lot of
that's
game
just
reviews.
very sad because I've actually
Some
played a
games have
game
only
where
been like six, not even
I
six
finished it
hours.
in like a day and I was just
Hmm.
like, wait, this is what I paid $40 for?
Yeah, and Sony's games are getting a little higher too, and somebody else just
Yeah.
busted a ball about that. Like, hey, why is this game $70? And I just fucking beat it. Like, and I'm playing No Man's Sky in VR, like off of Steam, and everybody's like, how's it in VR? I'm like, fucking amazing. I was like, I would have never played this on
And I'm
PS4.
not saying short games can't be good. I
Yeah,
mean, there are probably some short games with some
I mean, look at
great
us. We
story,
fucking did
but
a way out in under
it,
eight, almost 9 hours.
like I feel like there should be a price point where if you're paying for a game that isn't really going to give you too much
That's
out of
what
it,
once I feel about It Takes Two, where we just played, and A Way Out, because that's sort of at $40.
that was
And a
worth
way
it though. We spent a lot of hours on
we had and we're gonna play it again, and we're gonna finish
yeah,
it again, and
yeah.
so you guys can enjoy it. When I bought A Way Out, it was only $20, and somebody goes, "Why?" And they asked the developer, "Why only $20?" He goes, "Well, it's because we have it set structured to a co-op only. So if you
Hmm.
don't have a friend, um, whatever, they need to get it. They can download. You can give them a download key, or they can just download it, and you can give them a friendship key. Which I like that idea. I'm now liking that idea of the game because I got to play with Dell. I got to get to know Dell a little more. We were fucking jamming it. She was like, "This game is fucking wild." And she was like, "Brothers, you got to play a game called Brothers." And I'm like, "I don't know this game, Brothers." And she's like, "Oh, bitch, get ready." So, and that's how my kind of gaming thing with her happened. But yeah, it's weird that that happens. It's
Yeah,
gratification, and then let's make it shorter. And some people feel like, okay, I spent the 60. What do I get? And
yeah.
then others are
Yeah.
like, why the fuck is there DLC? You had this planned? It's like, yeah, we did. We weren't able to stick it in the
It's a
game.
short game, and then they money grab you with like, here's some extra stories, like with Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, but then they were
Yeah,
like, oh, you want the extra behind the scenes like side
yeah.
mission stories of what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
on the side missions?
Mm-hmm.
Purchase these 3 DLC episodes, and
Yeah,
I'm just
Silver
like,
Save Alone.
what?
Didn't you bought? I bought mine. Well, I couldn't afford it at first. I kept telling my friend, I'm like, hey, I really can't afford it. Why don't you get me a copy? If you want me to play it, so that get me a copy. Like, you got the money.
Mhm.
You've made a money. And I'm like, hey man, slip it on like $50 so I can just fucking grab it. Because he's done that. He slipped in like a few bucks in my PlayStation wallet. He's like, here's $60 for your game. Play with me. Um, but people get really pissed when it's like I spent 60 and now I'm spending like I think Marvel Avengers is fucking really hitting that plateau too because I wanted to get it. And don't worry, you get a copy of it. And everybody's like, oh, Lee, get it, get it, get it. I'm like, I can't afford it.
I know a lot of people who don't like Avengers, even though I'm that one person who's like, listen, it is not the best game out there because
I was
I'm
enjoying the
I'm gonna
story
be
when
real,
I'm
it
playing
is
it on. I
not
was playing it on PlayStation now, and I
the
started
best game,
enjoying
but
Kamala Khan. And
it's fun. And
yeah,
if you got a good group of people to play it with and not toxic, weird online people, because I've had 2 or 3 already, um, where they try to do that thing where it's like backseat driving your character, and I'm just like, bruh,
hmm
listen, half the time I'm just starting to learn this character because I need to level them up. Can you not?
Yeah, let me kind of.
And it's not the backseat driving, because if you came in going, hey, here's some advice, maybe try it this way, I'd be like real open to it. Be like, hell yeah, let's go. But if you're gonna come at me with an attitude, especially
Hmm.
because I'm a female,
Hmm.
and going like, oh, if you're playing such and such character, you shouldn't be playing it like that. You need to play it like this and this and this for it to be like functional.
What the
Buddy,
fuck?
I'm purposely gonna make your day the worst, or I'm gonna make you log off. I'm literally gonna troll you in the mission until you log the hell out and get out. Because I don't want to deal.
That shit's fucking wild. I can't believe this shit even
It's
happened.
like the people in Overwatch who get on people's cases when you're playing a character that's supposed to be a healer,
Oh
and
yeah,
be
I
like, you're
started playing
you're
that
only
now. And
supposed to be healing me, and it's like, listen, no,
I'm shooting two
no,
motherfuckers.
I'm healing, yes, but if your shields were better and you were actually blocking everything you're supposed to be blocking, I could concentrate on just healing. But no, I got to deal with these other people that are like coming in through your blind spot.
Hmm.
um, or they'd get mad if you weren't healing in the second, or healing them. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you got to heal me, and it's like, no,
Hmm.
bro, I got to concentrate on the tank.
Yeah.
No, but like I need heals. That's you ran off. That's
Yeah,
your
you
problem.
didn't fucking team speak and say, hey, I need this. Like, what the
And it's
fuck?
like, if you're gonna demand that I do something, that's the last thing I'm gonna
That's
do.
turned me off to a couple of games. Somebody goes, do you get terrified of? I'm not antisocial. I'm not an introvert expert. It's like, what are you? I'm like, I'm introvert a little bit until I get you. Unless you like engage me and say hello, then I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
how are you? But then when people get to know me, they're like, oh, you must like rock music and shit. I'm like, I like everything. Because somebody went to my Spotify one day, they're like, holy shit! I'm like, told you.
Yeah, I
Um,
just don't want to have a bad time when I'm playing a game, and if
no,
that means
it's.
I gotta like get out of that game at the time, or
Mhm.
like move to a different server, I'll do it. I don't care.
There's yeah, like Overwatch is one of them that I bought and I was supposed to play with somebody and they're like, hey, and it kind of fell through and then that's sitting in the fucking hard
I'll
drive
be
somewhere.
honest, I bought it and then I returned it in like, oof, I returned it in like a week, but it was just more like, for me, I kept getting vertigo
Really?
from this. Yeah, it's the speed of the screens, and it just was not, I was not having the time. And it just didn't click with me. It was one of those games that like I
Yeah,
could not get why people were like, this is really fun. Like I
yeah,
tried, and I was just
yeah.
like,
I
nothing is making me play this game and go,
yeah, I played a lot. Like I'm surprised Vertigo is a big thing. It's really shocking to hear.
it I think it also had to do with like how far I was from the screen and stuff at
Hmm.
times. Because I couldn't see details, so I'd have to sit closer
Yeah,
to
I've
the
been
screen.
playing. It's a funny weird thing about Vertigo. I've been playing a little bit in VR, and I played just for shits and giggles. I played the PlayStation 5 in VR. It's like, how the fuck do you do that? I'm like, you use the remote play, and I was able to log in through virtual, and it was fucking wild. They're like, how big was your screen? I'm like, dude, it's like an IMAX, but everything is so close and clear. I'm like, really? I'm like, how were you shooting? I'm like, I was playing Fortnite with the guys and girls. But we play with a pretty cool clan that we, our ladies and our guys, we bust each other's balls because it's a love family, man. People, yeah, you'll see some videos
Yeah.
on YouTube of us just fucking around. Everybody's very supportive of myself, and they know I'm disabled and shit, and they're just like, dude. And then, Holly, move your fucking uncross your fucking eyes. And I'm like, that's Tweed's little thing that literally when I log in, uncross your eyes pops up for my buddy Fernesco. That's my nickname. And I'm like, this is Fernesco for me. So we just giggle and laugh. But yeah, I'm surprised, it's like even in that, I'm surprised that Vertigo is thing. Um, how close do you sit to your screen? Like is it like a few feet or I'm quite a ways from
Depends.
mine.
Depends on what I'm playing. Um, and like my current setup, I can sit against the wall and I'm not too far from the TV, but
Mm.
I'm far enough that like I'm not that close.
Right.
But back in Florida, when my setup was in my bedroom,
Mhm.
my like I had the master bedroom, so my bed was on one side of the room, and then
All the gear was
my
on the
tiny TV, because I had a smaller TV than the one that you see right there.
mm.
It was mounted on a coffee table on the other side of the room.
Mm.
So I would have to sit at the feet of my bed. And even then, depending on what I was playing, I could not see the dialogue. And if there was
Oh,
no
I hate that.
voiceovers,
Yeah.
I gotta like go, wait, what? or if it was like a small detailed game, like you got to get close because you're like, I don't, what am I looking for
Yeah, I
on
got
this
shitty
screen?
eyes
Like,
too,
what is
so
happening? But now that I have the big TV, I can kind of like sit further back and be like, okay, I can see.
yeah, like I think
But back
it's
then it was like, yeah, I'd have to sit close because I had nowhere else to sit. So I had to sit at the foot of my
mhm.
bed. So I'm like real close. So sometimes it was just kind of like a little too immersive, and I'd be like, bruh, bruh.
Get out of here. I'm not there. Yeah, I got a
Especially when I have
55.
the
It's
PS4 camera and it has no zoom in or out. And if I wanted to stream with my face, I have to sit pretty close to the screen to get like
mhm.
this
Yeah,
angle from that camera. So like I have to sit like, let's
yeah.
say this is me and I'm like here from the TV so that you can see me.
But that's yeah, that's why I stopped using the camera because somebody was like, "What? You turn the camera on?" I'm like, "You don't need to see me. Like, just hearing my voice is
I don't
enough."
always turn on the camera because sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes it's late
It
at
kills
night and
the.
I'm
It
in the
kills
I'm in the
the.
mood to play, but also like my lights are off because I don't want the brightness in my room. I'm in my PJs and I'm just like I don't
Well, it also
know.
kills. It also kills the overlays of the game because I was playing something and I had to keep moving the fucking camera
Yeah, sometimes it
around, and I'm
happens
like,
to
you know what?
me.
I'm just turning it off. I'm here. And some guys like, hey, just turn your camera off. It's getting more annoying. I'm like, yes, I turned it
Yeah.
off. And we're playing. Some guy hopped in the Soma with me for an hour, and he was like, hey man, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. He was like, cool. Like it's good to get to know you for quick. What do you do? And real nice guy. He's actually on my Facebook now. He's like, no, I'm not a creeper. And come to find out, he's a firefighter.
Ooh.
Young cat, and about 21. We just started talking, and he's like, hey man, like I love that you're streaming on. What the fuck did I find him? I was using a multi-streamer, and that's why I found him off of Xbox. And he was like, cool. Like who told you about the game? And like he literally went on YouTube to help me figure the fucking puzzle. He's like, oh, hold on, I know where the delay, but here, do this, this, and this. And he's like, woo, we got it. And he's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have a call. He was literally about to go on a call for a fire or something like that. He's like, cool, don't have to go. The alarm was false. I can stay back and fucking watch. And I'm like, dude,
Hmm.
you got shit to do. He's like, no. It's cool talking with you. He's like, can I get your like actual details? I'm like, dude, I don't care. I run a company. Here's my actual fucking name. If you want to find me, guys, you're gonna find me. You know,
Yeah.
there's no way of getting around it. Like Dell just said, a girl streamer that she knows was fucking reverse search.
Listen,
So if
I
somebody,
can literally probably be very reverse searched
yeah, I mean,
and
it's
I
not
don't
hard.
like it, but it could happen.
It could happen. Someone could be at your fucking door, but you know, good luck because you're gonna meet some hollow points. I told someone, I'm like, come to the house, we'll meet some hollow points. um,
Please don't come to the house.
no, don't. Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Please don't.
I
Please
mean, you
don't.
could satellite view me, and you'll know where the fuck I'm
I
at.
mean,
So,
like, send me some pizza if you want.
oh,
Well, no,
I'm
because
down
I
for the
don't have
pizza.
Uber Eats down here.
I'm down for the pizza part. I mean, send me some tacos. I can always cook tacos.
I think that happened to a friend once. They were like, "I'm really hungry," and somebody said, I won't take your address in a weird way, but like, I'll send you pizza." And they got sent pizza.
I want to remember what was the lovely thing somebody
I
did.
was like,
I
"Man,
couldn't
somebody sent
afford.
me pizza," but like, I
I never
can't
got
now because I don't live
pizza.
in Florida anymore.
I never got pizza, but I was working on something for OMI, and I said, man, I would love to really work on that, but I can't afford it.
Hmm.
And somebody, I don't know who it was, um, sent me a text message to PSN and was like, hey, I was just listening to your chat and I heard you work, and I want to do something nice. And he goes, can I send you a gift card? And I'm like, okay. He goes, can I get your email? Yeah, here's my email. He's like, no, I'm not being weird. Dude sent me $300. He goes, go ahead and buy that thing you wanted and let me know how it goes. And I went,
No.
oh shit. He went, so what he bought me was resin and some shit. And I'm like, dude, you didn't have to. He goes, listen, I make good money.
Well, that's
I
nice.
make good money. And somebody said you were doing something good. I read your profile. Like I read what you do. So I'm like, oh
Yeah,
fucking right on.
somebody bought me the Elgato that I have. Well, it's
Yeah,
not an Elgato, but like
it's
it's a
yeah.
AverMedia.
I'm
But
hoping
somebody
that
bought it
works
for me
out
because
well.
they wanted because they saw I was frustrated with my
It's
PS4
rough.
streaming
It's
because
rough.
like some of the games block scenes
Yeah,
or
Arkham
you
did
can't
that.
see a certain thing
Yeah,
and
you'll
it
see
just
a Reddit says
ruins the game it ruins the stream and the atmosphere, especially when you don't know it's going to happen and suddenly you see it pop up on the screen where it's like,
yeah,
oh,
it's like a
it's
purple.
been
No,
blocked, and
it's
I'm like,
blue. Yeah,
great.
it's like because for your viewers, all they fucking see is a blue screen,
Yeah.
and it
And
goes.
then it just kind of like messes up. that too, and
And all they
it
can hear is
makes
your voice, and
people
you're like,
it makes
"Mm,
people not want to come back to the stream sometimes too,
yeah."
which is frustrating.
And I've had that. I've had people like a lot of fucking people stalking my stream and go, "Sucks." I went, all right, go,
And
go
I know
your own.
people are probably later going to be in the comments like, "Well, why don't you just stream from your PC?" I don't have one. This is a MacBook,
I
friend.
sent, well, Dell, we're building her
This
a rig,
doesn't
and
really work.
we finally sent her a list of what she needs to get.
Yeah. I
Um,
told my dad. He's like, I'm going to work on it this weekend." I'm like, "Please, please,
yeah,
please."
I mean, I got a lot of building to do. So I literally, we've been helping Dell out for those who don't know, and we'll speak about it. For those who don't know, we've been trying to build her rig, and I ended up, once the stimulus hit and I run my own company, it was time for a new desktop for myself. Sadly, with COVID being a thing, fucking everything just went, all the graphic card GPUs went up, CPUs went up, and, RAM's not so bad, but like all my friends who are, not pro gamers, but they do a lot of business too, and they play a lot of games. GPUs right now are fucking at the all-time high of like being overpriced by almost 900%. And you go to buy a GPU and you can't. Um, and then when the stimulus hit, I was like, it's time. I got a Mac like now, and I do a lot of editing on. But my computer was like 1,049, and I was telling Dell, I was like, give me the fucking money, I'll send you mine because it's up to date and everything. And I'm a fucking weirdo. So, like I said, I do a lot of SolidWorks and a lot of 3D rendering and works like that I do, and just helping her build a Revit some print. I'm not a fucking skilled builder by any stretch of the imagination. PCs change the minute you get them off the fucking line. Something
Mm,
changes. It's
yep.
good luck. You buy a car. My dad worked for Dodge for 20 plus fucking years. I saw a guy drive a $63,000 Dodge Viper GTS off the line. The minute he got it off, that car dropped $30,000 like
Yeesh.
that. That's how fast cars fucking depreciate. you know. And the thing is, we went up said, called a few friends. I said, hey, do you have parts? And I said, don't have parts. What does she need? I said, oh, this, and this. Um, and I hate putting people in group chat, but it helps Dell see how we're saying. And because I don't know what motherboards are good. And Dell's like, hey man, is RAM good? I'm like, RAM, you need RAM. And one of my buddies
Listen, I don't know anything.
and my buddy's a streamer, and he's like, dude, she needs top line RAM because the minute you open up this application in OBS, it's gonna fucking bottleneck
I
you
didn't
down.
even know there was a difference in keyboards where somebody was like, "You
You
need
have
you need a red
mechanical, you have
keyboard and not a blue key one because the blue key one makes more noise." And I was like, "Oh,
yep,
oh."
yep. And then
So
like,
that's the difference between hearing the tippy tappy tappy when you're
yeah,
streaming or the not.
yeah, like this.
Yeah.
My mic, I got a lapel mic on. So we're going through all that, and she's like, Ali, this and this. And then she did a little fucking catfish. She was like, ching, to the photo the other day. And I'm like, oh, you're at like the store. And she's like, no, no. That was from a month
Well, I
ago.
did the one that I sent you the other day. I was like, this one I'm staring at.
Uh,
This one I'm actually looking at. But the one I sent you before, no, that was from months before that. That was like
hmm.
from last month, and I had forgotten that it was in my thing, and I was like, oh, maybe.
So we ended up putting a rig together for her. It's going to be a decent sized chassis. We're not going with RGB. It's just fucking expensive. And when time comes, if you guys want to help donate to help put some parts in, hell, then fucking donate. We totally appreciate it.
I
We
feel
are going to
orange.
do. We'll do a little thing so you guys can like want to help donate games to us to play. Like, hey, you guys should fucking play this together, or if you want to
Um,
jump in a game, we'll
yeah,
do
I'll
that.
probably, as long as I'm still living in Puerto Rico, I'll probably give my PO box if people want to send us
Mhm.
like physical copies
Yeah,
for consoles and stuff.
yeah.
Y'all can send me stuff to the PO box. You don't even have to send me games. You can just send me letters and
Yeah,
drawings and
yeah. That's
just
why we get
something
the
weird.
email
Something
and
weird,
stuff. We
guys.
like weird shit. I'll give you guys. I'll put a
Just
PO box up or something like that. Or I'll even just
yeah.
give you my dad. People know where the
Send
hell
me
I am.
crafts. Y'all do crafts. I like crafts. I
Yeah,
like I like promoting crafts. Y'all
yeah.
send me a cute little keychain. I'll be like, look at this. Buy it.
Oh my God,
For the
buy it
love of
now.
God, go buy
I
it.
know we'll be doing so much promotions. Now that you said
I'm
that,
okay with that.
we're gonna get so many emails of like, so I run a business that does read this.
Ah,
But yeah, the rig that we're building her is gonna be decent. We're not going with RGB. I think the only thing that's gonna have RGB lighting is the AIO, which is the water cooler for
mhm.
the her CPU. I don't know why I want to say GPU. She does have a GPU that a friend gave her. It's okay. It's not great. It's gonna give her like 1080p. So don't bitch at her and like, oh, your frames are low. It's like, dude,
Listen, I work with what I got.
yeah, basically, it's almost like my rig. I get a 1660 Super, and like just the graphics card alone, I can pull that shit out and make $600 off of it. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's like the RAM will be fine, and she can upgrade in the future. I wanted to get something that she can actually get her hands into. It's just
Yeah.
right now, like shipping shit to Puerto Rico and getting it back. It's like I can send it to her to let her build it, but the problem is something might go wrong. So yeah, like if a part goes wrong, we gotta send it all the way back. We gotta do this and this, and it's not fun sending stuff to Puerto Rico right now. So it's a real mess. And
It's
I've got like
it's
three PC
not
builders here. So.
it's not a good thing right now.
No, and I didn't know how bad it was until I was like, where she live? Like for like
I think it's also partly everything that's going on with the world.
mhm.
Certain things shouldn't be sent in those
No, and
areas.
the one thing that they told me that
And there's parts of the island where they are. Like I have a friend who told me, if anything, I can give you my dad's address. They deliver his Amazon stuff to his house.
yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of the island is still very like new to Amazon and things. We don't have Uber
Yeah.
Eats. We don't. We're just getting a Chick-fil-A on the island this year
Mhm.
for the first time. If
Holy
that
shit.
says something.
What?
Yeah, we don't have Chick-fil-A. We've never had
What are they
Chick-fil-A.
gonna do on Sundays besides close?
Oh, I that's the thing. In the US it's more of an issue when things are closed on Sundays, but I don't think it's every state. I think it's just some states. Um like Florida. Florida just never stops.
No.
But here in Puerto Rico, like stores close really early on Sundays
Mm.
and malls close early. Like malls close at 6, 5:30 to 6 on Sundays.
Why is that?
And they open at 10. So when that happens, like with a lot of stores and stuff, I think only fast foods stay open during the day.
Mm.
But like a lot of places close early because it's a Sunday. Religious.
Yeah, people are home.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with doctors and stuff. Doctors, they don't work weekends. They work Saturdays sometimes, but most doctors don't work Sundays.
So I imagine. So I wouldn't if I was a doctor. But I'm not a doctor, so I ain't that smart. I
Like
got me
they
I
don't
got me
do it.
diploma. That's it. Yeah, like sending shit to her way, we were like being very careful because my buddy was like, "Who's got the GPU?" I'm like, "She's got the GPU." He's like, "Oh, good, 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 good." He's like, "Why is that?" He's like, "Something should happen during truck and transport because I've seen GPUs fucking shear." And like what we're meaning by that is like sometimes when
Yeah.
they get packed, they can break off inside. Which
Oof.
somebody I know who bought a $3,000 computer,
Mm-hmm.
his GPU sheared, and UPS told him, "Go fuck yourself."
But
And he told them to go fuck themselves because they're like, what was that 30? It was a 3080 or something like that. He had a really good fucking GPU or CPU, yeah,
yikes.
GPU, and it sheared. It just sheared like a screw broke. And he was
Oof.
like, "What the fuck?" Da da da. And we're all like, "Whoa!"
I
So
mean, I would also be very
I'm gonna
pissed.
pack this PC pretty fucking well. So, and a buddy of our buddy Franesco is gonna throw in an extra hard drive for her some more storage.
Oh,
Um, but we
yeah.
went through and she's like, "Hey, I want to get some RGB." And I'm like, "Girl, I will stick a fucking light strip in there for you." And the fucking thing. At this point,
I
well,
mean,
cause
honestly, I was thinking like I can bypass the RGB if I have to for now. Because like right now that there's only one place, like there was a TJ Maxx and TJ Maxx has the little light strips,
mhm.
but over there I could get like a light strip, a LED RGB strip for
Mhm.
like $3 or four at Five Below, and here it's like $12 for a little
We wanted to
box of
save you as
it.
much
And I'm
money as
like,
possible.
bleh.
I didn't know your budget first. Then we're going through a budget. I'm like,
I mean, like I said, I was like, it's not a necessity right now. It can eventually be added for funsies.
we'd like to. And most I have RGB in mine. It came standard. I turn it mostly off because I have it now monitoring the CPU,
Mm-hmm.
CPU and GPU, CPU. Sorry, I keep fucking confusing me. Just to monitor the heat. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's so aerodynamic in there. I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's telling me the heat. It's like when I'm working on a project or whatever, I'm like, all right, it's cool. Like VR's on, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna run fine, and we'll get her through. She's got plenty of room to get her hands in herself, and fuck with it, and there'll be more of us to like, don't worry, don't plug that there. Watch that jumper. Because
Me,
I've seen a
literally.
friend put one together and fry the whole fucking board without even knowing it. And they're
Ah!
like, "Hey, guys," and we're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What did I hit?" And we're like, "Did you touch that?" And they're like, "Yeah." And we're like, "Okay, you just fried your board." I'm like,
Oof.
how? It's like it's not hard to do. I mean, they're idiot proof now. They have labels all over them where to stick the wires and cable management and all that shit like that.
I
But
will be so terrified.
uh,
I will literally, knowing me as
I'm
we
gonna
live in,
put
I'm just gonna be like, before I touch anything, and I'll just be pointing at things. This is gonna go in here, and
Well,
I
first we're
pull
gonna tell you.
on this
First we're
tab,
gonna tell you to
right?
unplug it. Unplug it and tap. Get a fucking, strap band and put that under your hand. You don't have to use them. I don't. I have a static bed that I use a lot for computers because I've seen shit fry
Oh,
over light tapping, and people are like, you can't do that. I'm like, depends on how old the computer is. So yeah, I'll be fine. But I got Pernesco and a few other people on call, so they're like, dude, you put computers together, you're fine. But getting it up and running for her is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to. Next thing is the keyboard and mouse. I know you wanted to do a light. Definitely get backlit so you can see because your eyes are sucked too. So, uh,
I mean, I just need a keyboard and a monitor and the
which
PC, and I'm
the flat
good.
screen could work for now. I mean, you could run a HDMI.
Hmm. But the thing is, the TV's over there, and my
Yeah,
desk is over here.
yeah, but you can get a HDMI cord. I have a long one you can have.
No, oh, but yeah, but how would I? Because where am I going to mount the camera when I'm
Uh,
staring over that way?
you want an extender?
Because I can't put the chair in front of the TV because I have a very narrow thing between the TV and the very narrow.
These are just options.
I know. I'm
Um,
just saying, like later, I will show you this room. It is itty bitty.
it is not as tight.
I've already reached like my frustration level with the fact that I've got stuff that I just don't have
He
anywhere
has
to
no
put right
idea.
now.
You guys have no idea that I'm sitting next to a laser cutter in
And
my room on a food bed.
my mom's like, well, you just have too much stuff. And I'm like, ma'am, I had the entirety of, you know, the 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 adult bedroom.
Yeah.
Like that was my room. I
Once
had
you
a
go down to
walk-in
a
closet.
yeah,
I put most of my stuff in a giant walk-in closet.
yeah,
I do not have that now.
yeah.
No.
My office was literally a closet. Guys, I'll see if I can find a photo of my office. My original office was little. That's where I first recorded the podcast with Dell. Was literally in a closet office. People were laughing. They're like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what a minute! You're in a closet?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
my office. I fit in it, so it works."
Itty bitty
Then
office.
the joke would be, "Ollie, come out of the closet." Never. And I'd walk out like, "Surprise!"
Oh, that was the joke. Be
I'm
like,
like,
get out.
"Come on, Ollie,
No.
come out of the." Well, it's funny because one day our apartment would be used as a show apartment because our apartment was kind of nice. We just took care of it and shit. And it wasn't great. It wasn't great. We just kept it well maintained. So our manager came over one time. He's a gay dude, chill dude. He came in. So we're gonna come in and show your apartment off. And then one day, like I walked in and I knew they were gonna be there. I just didn't know that time. And I'm like, hi. And they're
Mhm.
like, hey. And the husband of the lady was like, he was like looking around. He was like, oh my god, it's like really nice in here. They were like well laid out. And I'm like, oh, you haven't seen shit. I open my door. I go, come here. I fucking turn my light. I go, Alexa, boom, turn on Enterprise. Whole fucking room turns on. All the lights turn on. And he's like, and I'm like, and it's like, Alexa, turn on Office. And he's like, I was like, come here. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean Office? He turns, sees a 3D printer, sees all that shit. He's like, how the hell did you fit all that in there? I'm like, I don't even know. But there's my office. It's got a sewing machine. It's got this. It's got this. And he's like, Dave, come here and take a look at this. She's like, how the fuck did you fit a sewing machine, a desk, two 3D printers? Is that a goddamn computer? I said, yep. And how do you? I'm like, I don't know. I just did. He said, ma'am, it's called Will's Away. And I figured out a will.
It's called I Am the Magic
And then
Man.
I said, oh, you haven't seen the projector, have you? And they looked over and they went, your wall is your TV? I went, yeah. And he goes, holy I went, you're welcome. They walked out. I said, I should have told them. I think they did get the place for a few West Wind's apartments. I'll fucking say it now. Don't buy there. If you're in Florida, don't buy at West Wind's. overpriced. Just don't live there. It sucks. It sucks.
Listen, most apartments in Orlando are overpriced and not great.
Not as bad as that one. They're horrible download. They're bad. But oh my god, yeah, I can't wait to build her rig. I can't wait to get it done so she can finally get on the PC stuff. We were talking about doing Humble Party with you and getting you in that. You'll love that when we get to
Give me a what?
Humble Party. I will show you. It's a game. It's kind of like it's got mini games with it, but you have to go through a map and land on these little thingies. And so there's these chests that get randomly picked. But you got to realize where they are, and you got to be the first one to get there to get a key. The most person with the key wins the round. It can take quite a while. It's quite fun. There's many games with it, and you could fuck each other up because if you get enough points, you could fuck the person up from getting to the chest by blowing them up or being a fucking pickle Rick or whatever. It's wild. It's fun. Or steal their keys. It is fucked up. It is fun. We've had nothing but a good time playing it. Pummel Party for those. It's on Steam. A friend of ours got it. I think your MacBook can't handle it. I don't know.
Probably not. I don't think my MacBook can handle a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know. She never lets me to help her out. She was like, Ali, what the MacBook is failing. I'm like, okay, hurry the fuck up.
No, it just there's a lot of games that I can't play on it because they're not Mac compatible. That's all.
You know you could do boot camp on your computer to get Windows.
I think I have a Windows site. I just forgot how to access it.
So when you start your computer, hit options, hold it, hold it, and then it should open up your partition if you have a partition.
I should.
Because
I know somebody installed it ages and ages and ages and ages and ages.
And you probably forgot the login, didn't you?
The what?
You probably forgot your login, did you?
For that, yeah. I don't even know if it has one. Maybe it doesn't. I'll be lucky if it doesn't. Because I never used it. I literally never did. And then I was like, wait, I think I have a Windows site. And a friend of mine who was was like, yeah, I put it in ages ago. Did you delete it? And I'm like, listen, I don't even know how to delete things off of the MacBook in general. So no, probably not. It's still there.
When we get time off pod, if you allow me, I'll go in with the remote and I'll help you fix thing.
Sure.
Because I did that the other day for somebody. They're like, Ollie, how do I add? I'm like, can we do remote access? We're like, what's that? I'm like, okay, download this. Okay, and now I'm coming in and I went into the computer and I spent an hour fixing stuff. I'm like, this is great. You're better than Best Buy. I'm like, I should fucking charge you Best Buy right now. I'm like, I owe you a beer.
I am Best Buy.
They're like, you're better than Best Buy. I'm like, I'm fucking not charging anything right now. They had programs up to there. They had shit. It was wild. Oh, can you while you're on here, can you fix this? Because it's not. Oh my god. And I heard Macs don't get viruses. I'm like, bullshit.
They do. It's just they don't affect it as badly. I can guarantee you, I've got like viruses.
Oh, we're going. Yeah, if you allow me,
I guarantee you, I will find many that just have not gotten through somehow.
No FBI. Like, you have a friend, right? He's been at Eastern. Now we're gonna put you on the watch list.
Oh my god.
Oh my giggles. Oh my god, it's been a blast. Yeah, man, it's almost fucking one. We did it. Yeah, man, we hope you guys enjoyed. I guess we can wrap it up here and because I know Dell's getting a little woozy.
Oh, I gotta be up in 5.5 hours. I gotta take.
But anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Our catchphrase.
Send us messages about what stuff you want us to talk about. Yeah, if you want us to talk about games, like send us questions. We will totally pull you up on the podcast. Be like, so and so asked this. Let's elaborate on that.
Please let us know if you want to say your name. Because I know some people are like, say my name. Oh, don't say my name. So I know some podcasts I listen to like say my name.
If you're a loyalist to us, let us know. We'll totally be like, yeah, so and so.
And like I said, we're here to have some fun, and we're doing this because it was time to get Dell on a pod and like let's fucking do it. And she loves shit, and I love shit, and we're gonna have different tastes, but that's the best thing about gaming. It's like you can love a genre, and another person can learn about the genre. It's cool to be ignorant,
and everybody likes different genres.
So don't be alarmed if you're like, oh, they're not talking about what I like. Dude, we know I like fucking all types of
We
games.
we apologize in advance if we don't talk about a game that you love.
Yeah,
Just send us a message, and if we can talk about it, we'll do it. And if we don't know anything about the game, we will
I will read.
apologize on the
I
podcast.
love to go on to YouTube and research. I literally didn't play
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts. Sadly, I just couldn't afford it, and I
did.
went on and I learned about Kingdom Hearts because a friend was
Listen,
playing it at
I
work.
don't play Resident Evil, but I watch other people play it because I
Yeah.
love the lore. But
Yeah.
I don't play them.
Mhm.
But I know the lore.
Right.
So there you go.
So the one question we're going to ask you guys is, what game scared the shit out of you, and what game made you frustrated, and
What's the first game?
what was the first game you got? Yeah, and kind of give
What's that nostalgia game, man?
Yeah, to let us know. Mine was Metal Gear because of David Hayter and Cam Clark. Actually, I got their autograph, and Cam was nice to write, "Hey Ali." I'm like, I didn't even tell him, "Hey Ali," he just did it. And Cam's a sweetheart. So, we hope you guys love this. We really appreciate you. It's going to take a bit for us to get used to this. So bear with us, man. Del's new to this. This is something I've been wanting to. It took me forever to sit with her and say, "Hey, can I talk to you? Hey, can I talk to you?" And she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" She's like, "Yeah. And finally, I was like, "Del, idea." And she's like, huh, "What? What the fuck do you want?" I'm like, "So idea."
Listen, I barely have ideas for my own stuff. So.
I don't know your DC After Dark thing, but if she can barely get a pod started, I don't know how she's gonna get that started.
Good luck to me.
But yeah, so it's like Pernesco's like, does she have any idea what it's like starting a pod? I'm like, does she have any idea what it's like to do what you do? I'm like,
no.
He's like, you better train her into why you're moving so. And like I said, I wasn't trying to be a dick the last couple days, but it was like, if I didn't jump on like the name and YouTube, it all would have been taken. I would have been like, oh shit, because I've been there, and I'm officially registered with the USPTO, which is Trademark Commission, for my name and all that shit. So I was taught to like move fucking quickly and keep yourself on track. It's just businessy. Man, we can't wait to show you guys what we got planned. I know Del's ready to do her shit. We have Elgato's. I'll have an Elgato. Del has her streaming device, so now we can easily bypass our game recording. So we'll do some games. She has a list of shit I can play, and vice versa. So we have Little Big Planet. We have A Way Out, which we'll do again. We're definitely going to do another one of that because we want to do that with her voice record because that game was fucking amazing. We still need to finish up It Takes Two and a few others. And like Del's got a whole bunch she'll quiz me on and teach me, and I can't wait for you guys to stuff. And we got books we want to talk about, and we don't really know what the genre of this is. Just nerding and geeking out what we just did.
Yep.
And for us to just kind of, as I said, everything.
We're starting with games, but we'll expand it.
I mean,
we go.
We've literally talked about our psyche and what the fuck shit did to us, as you guys heard. So sit back and thank you for fucking letting us in and clicking that play button, because who knows? And we'll see you guys next time. As you would say, don't stay up too late.
Yeah.
Okay?
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.